Hello everybody, and welcome to This Nintendo Life, episode 313. Unlucky for some, they say, but not myself. Now, the question is, Bally, as we've done this podcast for so long, how many times with a 13 in the episode have I said, but I was born on Friday the 13th, and I am immune to the ails of the 13th? Because actually, in fact, if you look at the calendar, in January of 2026, we're going to have a Friday the 13th. We're back to some times which could, cause some bad luck for some people. Not me, however, as I was born, of course, on Friday the 13th, as we all know.
I mean, I'm convinced you've said it every single time.
Probably every single time, Probably episode 13, episode 113, episode 213. No, everyone now go back to the archives and listen back and just see if that's what I say at the start of every show, because I imagine it is. Because that's me. I'm 13 boy, born on the 13th, as we all know and love. So, it was, my birthday was in December, so I have just had a 13th. But we're going to have another one soon, and it's going to be a whole thing. Actually, it might be February that's the 13th, because Today is Friday and it's the 9th, so maybe I'm lying about that. I did see there was a 13th. I think it's February. So in February 26th, we're going to get a Friday the 13th. Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Imagine if your birthday was just every Friday the 13th.
That would be very interesting. And I would be even more confident in my luck in that case, because I'd be... it feels like there's an immunity there. It makes me feel a bit safer about walking under ladders and all these other superstitious things.
Are you superstitious?
I've never been really a superstitious person.
You're not? Okay.
No, not really. I feel like I think it's all hokey bullshit for the most part, because we live in a world where none of that stuff actually means anything. But I don't know. Sometimes there can be coincidences that you're like, why is that the case? That seems a little bit scary. So I don't know. The world operates in odd ways sometimes, and I can see...
I'm just wondering what you've got against... I just want to know what you've got against cults. That's what I want to know.
I have a lot against cults. We'll get into it. It's a horrible situation. Anyway, hello. Welcome to This Nintendo Life. It's a podcast where we talk about video games and Nintendo. And here we are at the start of 2026 with our first episode of 2026. Yes. There weren't any other episodes that came out in 2026.
Are you feeling better now, though? Your voice is back. You're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. I'm significally better. I'm still coughing. What I found out from people at work is that everyone was fucking sick over the holiday, apparently. So it wasn't just me.
Okay.
I think things were going around. It always happens at Christmas time, but yeah, it's pretty rough. So I am randomly coughing every now and again, so I will have to do some editing on this show. There was one cough I forgot to edit out last time, Bally, and I heard it at the end of the show, and I was like, oh, motherfucker.
I did hear that one. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
So you go for it. You go for your coughs, but knowing that you edit them out, and then if one stays in, it's noticeable. You hear it.
I fucked up. Yeah, I really fucked up there, so that's my bad. Because we don't want the listeners to hear that and be terrible. So, but here we are today on this very episode, to start 2026. And Bally, do you want to tell the fine folks at home what we're going to be talking about?
Oh, there's a lot going on. So for the first segment, we're going to talk about the games that we have been playing. And for the second segment, we are going to do our predictions for 2026. Nintendo predictions, I should say. We will also be covering our Nintendo predictions from 2025, see how correct we were. And then we are going to cover our game trade games for 2026. For those that don't know, game trade is when MBZ and myself force each other to play a video game on the Nintendo platform. And usually it's something that one of us has played and the other hasn't, and we're like, this game is good, you need to play it. And then we talk about it, and you're going to do a bit of that today, MBZ. And then we also have
I will, yes. Yeah.
We also have a final announcement at the end of the show, so you want to stick around for that. I won't give away what it is.
No, but it's exciting. It's something that we've been meaning to do for a while now. So yeah, we'll get to it. But let's begin, Bally. Well, let's begin with my game trade game from last year, which you gave me, which was, in fact, Cult of the Lamb, a game that came out, I don't know, in 2022 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a few years ago, and got a lot of play from people. People really enjoyed this video game. They said it was very good.
I really enjoyed it.
It sold really well. The Bally was a big fan of it, it is an interesting mix, let's say, of a kind of roguelike action game with a management sim of a group of animals where you have this kind of area where you indoctrinate them into your cults and you make them do stuff, you make them build stuff, farm, all this fun stuff. And yeah, it was a game that I was interested in playing, but probably wouldn't have gotten to, I would say, if you hadn't told me to play it. So I started Cult of the Lamb. Now, let's give some context. So I was sick when Cult of the Lamb was being played, so I don't know if that has had any impact on it, because I was not in the best state of mind, generally speaking. But Cult of the Lamb is a game that I really wanted to like, and I realized about, 6 hours into playing it that I was like, well, this all feels pointless and I don't want to play it anymore. And so I haven't actually finished Cult of the Lamb, technically. I got to the third boss, and after that I was like, I don't really feel like there's anything else that's going to change here. I feel like I've seen what this game is. I'm not really having a good time. I'm going to put it down. That's a shame, because I think the idea behind Club Game Trade is to give the other person a thing that you think they will like, think they will enjoy, and it's not always worked. I gave Bally Sonic Mania and he was like, I hate this live system, I'm not going to play it anymore. So that's happened for me this year, and I guess part of the reason why is I think that I've realized I just don't give a shit about management sims. I really don't like them, and I have no desire to engage with those types of systems, because ultimately they just feel meaningless to me, in the sense of like mechanical joy, right? And we talk a lot about what mechanics we vibe with, what makes sense. You like very solid game loops and how those all feed into each other.
Yeah.
And I like a good game loop here and there, but for me, if you don't have like a thing that I enjoy engaging with on a mechanical level moment to moment, it's a lot harder to grab my attention. And as someone who didn't really grow up with, city builders or management sims or those types of things, it feels like a genre that I haven't had a lot of exposure to.
I played a few of those on PC growing up, like the city builders and things like SimCity, and I had like SeaWorld Tycoon and these other like games that you just build a theme park. It's good fun.
Yeah, and I feel like those games are slightly different to what this is doing to some degree, because I think this is also melding elements of like farming simulators in there, I don't know. There is a command your followers to do a thing. Like there's a micromanagement of like groups of characters, and being like, okay, well, you're going to go to the mines, and you're going to go to the chopping the trees, and you're going to pray at the statue, and you're going to do this. And I just don't really like that side of things. Like I've never liked engaging with it. I've always found it kind of boring and annoying to manage and remember. Like I can't remember how many people have I sent to go do this one task, and there's not really a good way of the game telling me where that is or how to find that information, and so I always end up being like, oh, I don't know, you do this thing, and then that probably leads to inefficiencies, which means that my cult is not being as efficient as it could be, and so I got to this point where I had built up the cult to whatever degree, and people were giving me prayer, and I was going through the combat stuff. So, the first half of this is, you're going through these combat arenas, slightly Slay the Spire-ish in terms of you go through, like, let's say 7 or 8 rooms, and then you get to an end point, and you go through a door, and then that door leads you to a Slay the Spire style map, which is a lot smaller. It's more like 4 or 5 nodes as opposed to like the 20 that you have in that game. And so you go between different areas. Like one of the areas might be, oh, here you can pick up some resources. Here's an area you can go and you can recruit a new cult member, and then ultimately you get to like the final area, which will have a final boss at the end of it, right? And I think the problem I fundamentally have with this game is that there is one skill tree that increases your combat abilities, and everything else is geared towards just cult stuff. And so if we're talking about the loop of wanting to get better at the combat to beat the bosses to go forward, you have to do a lot of fucking praying and sermons to get that specific skill tree to give you the stuff that you need to be powerful enough to go and then finish the combat stuff. And the problem with this is that, from my perspective, I want to go do combat, then do a little bit of cult, then do combat, do a little bit of cult, and spend my time more equally between the two parts of the game. And I think the game wants me to be in the cult way more than I ever wanted to be. And that fundamentally becomes a growing problem, because I would say for the first 2 sections of the game, like the first 2 bosses, it felt more balanced of, oh, I feel like I can do 5 minutes here, and then I can go and I can do my, 6-minute, 7-minute run. fight the enemy. You basically have to beat one area 3 times, and then you unlock the boss, basically.
Yeah.
So those first 2 sections, I was like, okay, this flow feels decent, feels like I'm getting somewhere. And then I got to the 3rd area, and I start dying quite a lot. And I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel good. I get in there, I fight a couple of fights, and I die. And I'm back to the cult again. I'm like, okay, well, I'll do a little bit of stuff, I'll go back out, and then I die again immediately. And I'm like, I feel like I don't have control over my power level here, aside from having to repeat this one thing again and again in order to get the stuff that I need to then actually conquer the combat.
You got to build up the strong cult to power your devotion or whatever they call it in order to power you up for the dungeon. Yeah.
And I think the fundamental issue is that you have to spend so much more time powering up than in the beginning of the game. And
it's a long game. Like, did you go in with expectations of the length? Did you check how long to beat at all? Or did you think this was a 12-hour game?
Yeah, I did. I knew it was 14. I think most people 15, 14 hours or so.
I think I took like 18 or 20 or something as per. But
right.
Yeah. It's a long game.
And so from a pacing standpoint, I think you're right, Bally, in the sense of like, okay, well, I kind of want to finish this before the end of the year type of thing. So there is a bit of a time pressure on me of like...
this is a stipulation for next year. You are not allowed to make your Game Trade game the final game you play of the year. I think that it does put there's a certain time pressure. And when you're playing...
There is.
I think playing a looping game when you have a time pressure... There's a little bit of friction there is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you would have loved this game if you've played it a different time of year, but I do think like there's a certain cramming psychology that goes on when we're playing like our final game of the year. That's all I mean.
Yes, 100%. And I think that, I think this happens with reviewers as well. It's definitely like a unspoken factor of like the way that people play games sometimes. I will say I just on a fundamental level I don't really like this video game. So I don't think it would have made a significant difference, but I think it made the difference of me being like willing to give up on it. I think if I hadn't had the like finish it before the end of the year thing, I think I would have gone back to it a little bit more and like slowly played it over time. But every time I thought about booting it up, I felt repulsed. I was like, I just don't want to fucking do that. I just really don't care at all in any way.
If you don't like the sim part of it, then I definitely think the dungeon crawling isn't strong enough to carry the sim part. I think the sim part, if you like the sim part, I think the sim part can carry the dungeon part. I don't think it works the other way around. And I respect that. I understand where you're coming from. I definitely did enjoy the sim part a lot more than you. I do think... Right. I would have rather have taken 12, 13, 14 hours to play this game. Like I said, it took me 18 to 20. I would have rather it was a little bit shorter because by the end, I agree, I was a little bit like, right, but I am done looking after you cult members. I just want to be powerful and defeat this game. And I do actually think the final boss would have driven you slightly mad because it is a pretty challenging final boss and you can't... Yeah. Unlike other roguelikes, you can't just go back and keep facing the boss again and again. There's management you have to do a little bit in between in order to like, rev up your stats in order to face the boss and stuff.
And I remember you saying that, and that also was on my mind. And I was like, this is going to piss me off so much that like I would rather end on like decent terms with the game as opposed to being like, fuck this piece of shit, which I don't think that is.
Do you understand the hype? I'm interested in like,
yes,
this is such a uniquely quirky, like kind of gross horror but still cute to get. I've not really played a ton of like horror but cute games before. Horror is a strong word. I mean like just gruesome, cultish, killing people, like it's a really weird style. Like what did you make of the style?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think there's a certain comedy to it of like you have this person who's like, oh, I see through your lies, this is a cult, and then you're like, I'm going to put you in prison now, and you just tip them over your back, throw them into a little jail cell, and they just sit there as you like read a Bible to them or whatever. I think there is an inherent comedy that comes from the absurdity of the situation that I did appreciate of like...
Did you lean pretty authoritarian through that?
Yeah, I think so. I think the game makes you authoritarian, almost. Like, I don't think that it... I don't think it allows for other ideologies, if I'm honest. And I think that is an interesting commentary on cults in that way of like, well, if the cult is going to operate as a cult, then you can't treat it in any other way than authoritarian because the ultimate idea is control.
Yes.
And so if that is the truth of it,
maybe I didn't mean authoritarian. I should have just said, like, did you lean violence or non-violent?
Sure,
because they're both
okay,
authoritarian, I
right,
would
right.
argue. You're right. That makes sense.
yes, yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't doing too much murdering of my citizens. I did.
You can just like axe murder one of your cult members if you want to, kind of thing.
No, I never got to that. But there was a doctrine that you get. So doctrines are like things that you can, I don't know, like tell your citizens to do and stuff like that. There was one where you could sacrifice one of them in order to like then raise your fear level or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't remember what it was specifically. But the only reason that I did that is because, and this is back to the resource problem, I actually think that part of my frustration with the cult was also a resource frustration, which is to say you very quickly run out of rocks and wood, and then in order to build the mines that have rock and wood, you need rock and fucking wood to build the mine in the first place. And so I didn't have any rock and wood, so I couldn't build the mine to get more rock. So you see, I found myself in like a rock and a hard place of not having the resources to like build a prison area to take this guy.
Early on, it's very resource intensive. I agree. You need
exactly.
I mean, that's the game basically forcing you to form a large cult, because having the large cult allows you to do all these things more easily. Like it's a big build as well, because you're doing all these building blocks to build your cult, because your cult need food, and to get food you need to plant things, and to plant things you need farmland, and to do you're doing all these loops that relate to growing a large cult. And then ultimately, like you were saying at the start, it's only their devotion that affects the skill tree, that affects your power. So even though it's one currency that impacts your strength in the dungeons, there's so much the entire skill tree arguably of the management sim goes into that one stat, arguably. Like it's very
right, yeah.
It's forcing you to lean. You spend a lot more time managing the cult than you do in dungeons, like you were saying.
Yeah, and I think because I didn't want to manage my cult, people were just like dying of old age, and they were like getting sick and vomiting, and then being in a tent. And I was like, oh, fuck off! I don't want to deal with you. And so like my cult wasn't that big, probably, and I wasn't that invested in like getting new people in, and so my cult never got massive. And so I guess that also led to.
What was your maximum number of people in your cult?
I think like 18 or something like that.
Jeez, that's big. I think I beat the game with like 18, 20 members. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, really? Okay.
My vague memory.
I kept getting options to add people, but the thing is like, I think the game almost will always stay around that many because of how many people die or people get punished.
It's hard at a certain point to keep all the food coming and that kind of thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So like the reason that I sacrificed that first guy is because his meter for like pissing off other people was getting really high, and I was like, I don't have the resources to build a prison yet, so I'm just going to sacrifice you and get you the fuck out of the way. And the problem with that is that your higher level cult member, so he's a level 3 cult member, which means that he provides +3 to my bar when I'm doing the sermon to get to the action skill tree. And so if you are getting rid of, or if old people are dying and you're getting rid of dissidents who are high level, you're then bringing in new cult members who are only level 1, and to level them up, it's just annoying busy work, which is going to them and being like, I bless you, and then their little meter goes up. And it's like every time that I come back from a run, do I want to go around and click on all these motherfuckers and say, I bless you, just to level their thing up? No, because it's boring and I don't like doing it. And so I think that my disaffection with the cult side of things and my unwillingness to engage with it, I think ultimately led to knock-on effects.
Yeah.
That meant that I wasn't able to get through the combat, and then it led to frustration, and I was like, fuck this, I'm bored, I'm going to move away.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ultimate, like all of it together just didn't work for me.
Right,
and that's fine. Like, I think this game is very beloved. Lots of people like it a lot. You do.
Yes.
And so it's just, it's a really well-made thing. I think the animation is really nice. I think
cool.
The music is fun. I think it's a really well-polished thing. It's just like not for me at all. I just really did not connect with it in any way. So definitely happens from time to time, and there's not much you can do about it. It's just it wasn't my jam.
What did you think about time passing in your cult while you're in the dungeon?
Yeah, I didn't think about that too much. It didn't affect me massively, I will say. Like, there were certain points where it'd be like, oh, no, this person has got angry, and it would, like, give you a little notification and stuff like that. But I think because I didn't care that much, I didn't care about the time passing. I think the time that I cared was if I'm back at the cult and I arrive back there and suddenly it goes from day to night, then I'm pissed off because now I can't do anything. I have to wait for these stupid people to sleep and then wake up again, and then I can actually do stuff and engage with them and get my fucking prayer juice and all that sort of stuff, right? Like, I think that's where I got frustrated, is if I got back and I was able to do like a couple of chores, but then everyone just went to bed and I was like, well, I guess I'll just leave the Steam Deck here just sitting until they wake up. Okay, oh, everyone's awake. Now I can do stuff again. You know, that's the sort of thing that annoyed me, I think, with the game. But yeah. Cult of the Lamb, you know, go and listen to Bally talk about it in whatever episode, because that probably gives you a better representation of the qualities of the game as opposed to me. But anyway, I'm glad I played it. You know, good to know. Better than anything else.
I will seek
a
stronger game for the end of the episode.
Yeah, not on you at all. I think it is just one of those, like, who knows what you're going to think going into a game, and this one just wasn't for me.
It was outside your comfort zone, which I think is part of the advantage of Game Thread, so at least that's something.
I think so. I think, the good thing is it told me something about this style of game, and I think, you know, it helped me decide, like, in the future, if I see another game like this blowing up, I know that it's not going to be a thing that I need to hop on the bandwagon for. So I think, it's good instructive playing, which I appreciate. Let's talk about a video game that fucking rocks, Bally. Oh my god. Okay. So, last year, a video game came out called Pipistrello and the Cursed Yoyo. I was very interested in this game, mainly because it is from the same developer who made TNL classic Dodgeball Academia.
Oh, wow.
A game that we both really loved. So Pocket Trap, the developer, they made Dodgeball Academia that we played back in, I want to say...
Brazilian?
Brazilian, correct, yes. Brazilian development team. We played it in 2021, I want to say. I think that was the year that I played the most video games I've ever played in my life. I think I finished 78 games in 2021. It was partial pandemic. I don't know what it was. There's something in the water. Like, it was insane. I played a lot of fucking games. But anyway, one of them was Dodgeball Academia, which was this beautiful blend of, like, Pokemon and Dodgeball RPG, essentially, where you do these, like, Dodgeball matches, but, like, the town was very Pokemon feeling, and you'd have, like, these rivals, and you'd go to school and all this fun stuff. Great game. Really, really fun. Very underrated. Unfortunately, didn't sell very well, and is a bit disappointing. The more people didn't check it out. But yeah, I knew that they had made this, and so it was always on my radar of, like, oh, I feel like these guys get it. They know what they're doing. I was like, I should get to this. And so I did. I managed to get around to it, and I started it, I think, maybe just a week ago. And I've already finished it. I rolled credits yesterday, last night. And, you know, Bally, we talk a lot about how there's a lot of Metroidvanias out there from indie teams, but there's not that many Zelda-style games. And we always talk about, like, how do you distinguish between a Zelda-style game and a Metroidvania? And I think for me, it's like the fundamental, like, dungeon overworld structure is how I designate a Zelda game, right? Which is arguable for Metro Prime 4 and why people are talking about that as more of an Ocarina of Time style game as opposed to a Metroidvania, right? So I would argue that there are, like, two big indie Zelda style games that we have played, Unsighted and Mini Shoot Adventures. And I have to add,
Unsighted, there's another Brazilian game, actually.
It is, yeah. I don't know what it's in the water in Brazil and Zelda, but they're cooking over there. Yeah. And I have to add Pipistrello as the third string to this bow, because this thing is so good. It is a GBA looking top-down action Zelda-style game. It has a big feel of Minish Cap to it. Like, there is something of the puzzle design in here that feels like it's drawing from Minish Cap specifically, in the sense that when we played Minish Cap, I think we remarked on how much the dungeon design felt like a 3D Zelda, despite it being a 2D Zelda. And I think that's in how much the puzzles like feel more complex, and there's more involved in, like, the navigation and things like that. And Pipistrello feels like it's pulling from that, but also just having so many of its own ideas. So you play as Pipistrello, you play as Pipit, who is part of the Pipistrello family. The Pipistrello family is like this kind of, like, I don't know, they're like a bad corporation essentially, and his auntie is like the head of it, and everyone hates her. And so at the beginning of the game, these 4 like people from the town come to the manor and they steal her batteries, basically, these like 4 giant batteries that power all of the industry going on. And she gets turned into like this creature, and she basically fuses. So Pippet is like a yo-yo like professional. He like goes to yo-yo tournaments and stuff. He's like a kid. He's like trying to be cool. Anyway, he like blocks it, and then she gets absorbed into the yo-yo. So she basically acts as like your Navi throughout the game, like talking to you, but she's like a part of your yo-yo essentially, and allows your yo-yo to get different powers and different things that it can do. And so the setup is basically, okay, these 4 bad people have taken the batteries, you have to go and get all those back, and that results in an adventure which involves like essentially 4 big dungeons that you go to. And I think the thing that really struck me about this game is how smart it is with its puzzle design and how challenging its platforming is. There are like so many little areas you go into as you're exploring the town. Like the town is basically your overworld, and there's cars going past and everything. So it feels like quite unique from that perspective, because usually in a Zelda style game like Unsighted, it's very either sci-fi-y or medieval or like fantasy style, where you're going through grassy lands and there's enemies across the way and everything. Here you're walking through streets and there's like cones in the way. There's like puddles of water you have to jump over. There's like builders, and like the enemies are like, you know, weird slime people and like people who are trying to like do stuff with the city, and it just has a different feel to it totally. And you go into these places which is like, oh, here's a cinema, and you go inside the cinema, and then you have like a challenge you have to do there, or like a puzzle you have to solve, and they are always like these one room kind of puzzles. And they are so smart in the way that they combine the abilities that you have together. Like there are some segments at the end of this game where I have like the ability to roll over water, and then I can also attach myself to a wall and like slide across it. I can also bounce myself away from the wall with my yo-yo, and there are platforming sequences where I'm stringing like 4 or 5 abilities together back to back in like a timed situation as like the floor is falling behind me, and I'm like, It feels fantastic to put together and just really, really smartly designed. I think that just like one of the things that Metroid lacked, Metroid Prime 4, was that surprise element of like, what is the next ability I'm getting?
Yeah.
And because this yo-yo is such an interesting like object that can do so many different things, every time I got a new ability, I was like, oh, that's really clever. And it suddenly just opens the world up in your brain of like, oh, now I remember that spot I could go to where I can use this ability. And yeah, it's really, really well designed from that perspective of those sequences and those dungeon areas. And so like, not only do you have those small spots you're going to like get a heart piece or whatever. Actually, for this game, it's interesting because getting your hearts, you need eight pieces in order to get a new heart.
8
which is quite a lot. Yeah,
they're
a bit more frequent. I know, yeah, it is a bit. They are a bit more frequent than in a regular 2D Zelda game, but I think so. Part of the brilliance of this as well is that your upgrade tree, like your ability to get more health or do more damage or get badge points, because it also has like a badge point like Hollow Knight type system where, you know, you can attach a badge, but it's more Paper Mario, I guess, in that you like increase your badge points as you go, and then you can attach more and more to you with different abilities that kind of help you as you go through. So like one of the ones I got was, if you jump and attack, you do more damage with that attack if you have this badge equipped. So yeah, the skill tree, in order to get, you know, extra things here, like extra badge points and extra health, you go into debt basically. So what happens is that you collect money throughout the game by killing enemies, but if you want to get, like, let's say 1 more badge point so that you can attach this badge that you have, you will get that badge point, but then you will go in debt and you will lose something else. So you might lose the ability for enemies to drop hearts so that you can heal yourself. And so for the period of time in which you're in debt, enemies will no longer drop hearts, but you have the extra badge point. And then eventually, when you have paid enough money, when you've collected enough cash and the debt is paid off, that negative effect goes away. And so you keep the positive effect, but the negative effect is then gone. So you've basically paid off your debt, and now you only have the positive effect remaining. And it's such a fascinating approach. Like, one of them is like, okay, you are going to have 2 less hearts now until you get $500. And if you do that, then you are going to get the ability to, I don't know, like, do more damage to the enemy, right? And so there's that trade-off of, like, I was always thinking, okay, I'm about to go into a boss fight. I don't want to have a negative effect when I go into a boss fight. So, like, I was only taking the negative effects on when I was exploring the town or when I was going through the dungeon and getting a lot of money by killing enemies and things like that. Because, you know, some of the late ones are really expensive, and, like, I do think the design is not the best for the skill tree at the back half, because the negative effects are really, really terrible. Like, one of them is, like, minus your attack by 4, and my attack was 6 for most of the game. So, like, minusing my attack from 6 to 2 would be, like, a drastic effect on how much damage I'm doing and everything. So I was like, and the positive benefit for doing that wasn't really worth it in my brain. So by the end of the game, like, I had done, like, most of the first half of the skill tree, but I think they could have done a better job designing the back half to have the positive effect be so appealing that I was willing to do a really bad negative effect to get it, basically.
What's the ratio of, like, combat to puzzle? And then likewise, what's the ratio of I'm in a dungeon versus I'm in the overworld?
It's interesting. I would compare it to Skyward Sword in a way, in terms of ratio, in terms of, like, you know, in Skyward Sword, it almost feels like you've done a dungeon before you get to the dungeon. Like, you do an overworld thing, but it feels like the overworld thing is so involved and has a lot of puzzle solving and stuff in it that it almost feels like a precursor to the dungeon. I think Pipistrello is very much like that, where so one of the dungeons is a building site, and this is the other thing I love about it, is how unique the spaces are. Like, one of them is a concert, one of them is a football stadium where the final boss is literally a football match where you have to take the ball and run against all these enemies swarming you.
I mean, it is Brazil, right? Like, football's a big deal.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, totally. So it's like it's really turning things on its head in a lot of ways. But the building site dungeon, you go underground, you do all this stuff. Before you do that, you actually go and do a mini skyscraper dungeon. It really reminded me of the sky area in Minish Cap as well. Like, you're in the sky, there's like cranes with moving things going back and forth, like really creatively done in terms of the aesthetic of it. But like, that section is just to get like an ID badge so that you can get into the dungeon itself. So it's like a pre-dungeon essentially. Usually there'll be like a thing you have to do before you get into the dungeon. And so this one is like, go up to the skyscraper, do this mini dungeon area in order to get your ID badge from a guy, then go back down, and then you start the proper dungeon. And there's another one where to get to the concert, you have to get a ticket to get to the concert, but the entire area of the town is like blocked off because there's a giant line of people going all the way, winding around every screen on town, and in order to get past them you have to like go underground into the sewers and do a bunch of different puzzles in the sewers to then pop up from another like manhole on the other side. It's like, that's how you get past a blockade in the line, is going underground and popping back up. And so you explore this whole like area to try and get the ticket, and then when you do that, everyone like moves into the concert area, and then you show your ticket and you go in. So like, that entire sequence was exploration of the town space, but with enough of a directed linear nature to it, where it's like, you need to go here to do this to get past this area. So yeah, it feels very directed and like designed from a puzzle perspective, even though you're not in the dungeon yet. So like, I think the game feels quite meaty because of that.
I do think like the Oracle games in particular felt like there was quite a lot of puzzling before you got to dungeons, for example. Like, I think that's like an example of a 2D Zelda that kind of does something a little bit similar. But probably a lot more frustrating than this game, because they are much older games.
I think so. Yeah, I think there is definitely some frustration points with this. I do think the combat is fun, and I think it's cool, and there's like lots of different moves you can get. You can get special moves, and I like the way that they introduce new abilities, where most of the time you'll fight an enemy that you've not faced before. They'll introduce a brand new enemy, and then your auntie will be like, looking at that enemy, I got an idea for what to do. So like, it's not like you have a special room you go to and you go to a Chozo statue and you get the ability. It's more like, oh, we just fought that enemy in this random room in this dungeon. Now this next section, you're going to have to use this new ability to get through it. And it is giving you abilities within the dungeons, but it is contextualizing them with like the enemies that you're fighting who are also using those abilities, which I think is quite cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that element is very smart about it as well. But in terms of like the monotony of combat, like I think one of the nice things about it is it also has like a Celeste style difficulty approach, which is to say, instead of saying easy or normal or hard, you can go into the menu and you can just change values. So for example, one of the bosses, I think it was the third boss I was fighting, I was like, God, this thing is way too fucking spongy. Like they didn't do a good job balancing this. And I was like, I can just go in the menu and do 2 times damage. And I was like, okay. All right, so I did that. So I changed it to 2 times damage, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this feels like a good balance now for what the game should be. So I was almost like balancing the game myself at the end, which you could say is a detriment to their design. However, I think that the ability to go in and adjust it yourself is it's nice that they have it there. Because like the final boss, for example, I was like, I know that this is going to be really long and drawn out based on the other bosses, and I'm probably going to die, and I don't want to restart the thing from the beginning. So I just turned on infinite health, basically. I was like, I just turned damage to 0, and I just enjoyed the spectacle of it, as opposed to being annoyed that I would have to die and go back to the beginning and stuff. Because, you know, the final boss has a lot of like platforming challenge alongside fighting the boss fight, and like it's very cool. But yeah, just based on the way the difficulty was ramping up with some of the regular enemies in the final dungeon and everything, by that point, I don't think they did a very good job balancing the difficulty with like the abilities that you have and the way you're able to deal with it, which is fine because I was able to adjust it to my desire. So I think that's totally okay, given that they have that option in the game if you want it. So yeah, I do think that, you know, they will often pop you into arenas where it's like, okay, you're locked in this room now, fight all these enemies. And there can be parts of it that are a little annoying in terms of the enemies are just like little bitches. They're like, okay, I'm going to come at you at this cadence. And then like, you're like, oh shit, I got hit by him because I was, you know, not in the right place and just wasn't dodging out the way well enough. But yeah, I think overall for me the strength of this game is really in the dungeon design and the puzzles and the platforming. Combat is serviceable and good, but I don't think it's really where this game shines at the end of the day. So yeah, it's much more to do with like the design of the spaces.
But it's up there with Unsighted and Minishoot in your mind. That is high praise.
Oh, 100%. And I think Minishoot is like slightly different in this way because it is a Zelda style game, but because it's a shmup and it has different design tendencies, like Minishoot combat is the core of it, really, right?
Definitely,
like, the thing that I love about Minishoot is fighting bosses and enemies and like the bullet hell of it and all that good stuff. Yeah. And it does have good exploration and it does have fun, like very smooth dungeon design. But this dungeon design feels a lot more Zelda. It feels thinky, really well curated, very thinky, and just really satisfying to figure out. I think just like from the very beginning of the game, just the way it feels, the way that you move around, the music is so fucking Pokemon coded, it is unreal. These guys must be huge Pokemon fans because Dodgeball Academia felt so Pokemon. The music in this game feels so goddamn Pokemon. It's really, really well done, and just puts you back in that era without like being the exact same thing. I don't know, there's a vibe to it that is excellent. So yeah, I think this is fantastic. It's going to be high on my GoTT Dakoti, I'm certain. Like I really loved it, and like I was saying to you, like if I had played this last year, it'd probably be like number 5 on my top 10 games of the year. I thought it's really fantastic, and you know, I think that the end of it doesn't fall apart. I think the end of it just gets a bit too difficult for its own good, but like I said, you have ways of mitigating that in the menu, so at the end of the day it's not a huge deal. The rest of it is just so exceptionally well designed, and there's so much game in here. Like there are so many like really big side challenges. There was a whole area, there was like this whole part by like the dock, and it's like a water puzzle of like 12 or 15 screens of puzzle to get to a thing to unlock like a badge. Like my badge screen at the end, I only had maybe 12 or 13 badges, and the whole screen has space for maybe 40. So like there's a lot of optional stuff in here if you want to go for it. Really challenging stuff as well that will push your platforming skills to like the next level. So yeah, very strongly recommend Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. Runs fantastic on Switch. I played it on Switch too, but there is only a Switch 1 version. But you know, it's a 2D game, it's a pixel art game. It runs fantastically, looks amazing. And yeah, I played it all handheld. I played it handheld the whole way, which feels fitting because it is such a GBA coded game in its look and feel. So yeah, I cannot recommend that highly enough. yeah, definitely put it on your list, Bally, at some point to
It's
get
on
to.
my list.
So.
Yeah, I told you some podcast talked about it, and I just like looked it up just to see like what it looked like and things. And I admit the art style did put me off slightly initially. It was just a bit like, oh, it's a bit.
I was surprised by that when you mentioned it. Yeah.
Garish, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm also just very like, well, it's a Zelda game, but it's in a modern setting, and you're a dog, and it's just a bit weird, and it's like obviously it's more about gameplay and rather than setting with a game like that.
Right.
So I just needed to be more open-minded.
I think you're a beetle, by the way. You're like
you're
a
a
stag
beetle?
I think, or something. Yeah, you're not a dog. Yeah,
I thought it was like a puppy or something.
You have like horn. Like I think your auntie is like a bug. There's a lot of dog characters in the game that like I think all the different like CEOs of the companies are like different animals. I want to say like it's a weird world. Like the characters are very quirky. There is a decent amount of dialogue, maybe more than I would want, but I think it's decently written. Like Dodgeball Academia also had that, and I thought that was well written as well. So I didn't really mind it. I thought it was very fun. Has a good sense of humor to it. So it very much carries that forward. But I think they really went above and beyond in terms of design here. Like there's just really smart stuff in terms of the abilities that you get and like putting you in a situation and saying, okay, just think about this. How would you do this? And yeah, it's just like it makes you think in a really fun way. So very much recommend.
I will try to get to that game this year. That would be good.
Yeah. Bally,
Yes.
you have finished a game for 2026 already. Look at that. Look at them go. Do you want to tell us about what you've been playing?
I have beaten Inscryption. It took me, according to my PlayStation 5, 18 hours, which is, that little Bally adjustment that, I mean, I think most people beat it in about 14, 15 hours, and you were about 12, you think, MBZ, so...
11, yeah.
11, so yeah, somehow I just spent like 7 more hours doing something different to you in this game. Somehow, I have no idea. We're going to talk non-spoilers, and I think then we're going to go into a spoiler discussion. So these are my non-spoilery thoughts.
I will put timestamps in the description so you can skip past it if you have not yet played Inscryption.
Yeah. I think this game is phenomenal. I think even just talking about the bit that everyone's aware of, the first part of the game, facing off against this mysterious character in the cabin, I think that card game is so strong. I think the vibes of the game and that area are just through the roof. I think what the game does so nicely is that the card game in and of itself is fantastic. The vibes in and of themselves are also fantastic. But then it's layering on like these kind of like puzzles that are not linked to the game that you kind of need to complete to progress the story, the game. And I think that what it does well is that it's not as obtuse as a game like Outer Wilds or Blueprints, where I think that the peeling back the layers of the onion with that game is very slow, and you really have to do all the peeling. I think that a game like Inscryption, they kind of push you quite hard to help peel a few layers for you. And
yeah, they nod at you a lot, especially just the cards talking to you in the first place. It's like they have a reason to like they want to get out of here, and so it's in their characters' inherent idea to get out, right? So they want to help you. Yeah,
exactly. And other than like one thing in that cabin section that I had to just look up, I got it all. Like I didn't have to look anything else up, and that was very satisfying. But yeah, I think the card game itself there is so clever because it doesn't seem like you're getting permanent upgrades, but what happens when you fail is that you create like a death card, so your character dies, and then
a mega card,
and you can create like these cards from your existing deck. So you can pick, it'll randomly select 3 cards. You can pick the cost of the card. It'll randomly select 3 cards. You pick the power and health. It'll then randomly select 3 cards. You can pick the ability. And there are ways of powering up cards throughout it's a roguelike ultimately through your run. And for example, there's, if you have 2 duplicate cards, there's this location that will literally stitch your 2 cards together in like a really gruesome kind of way, and doubles the attack power and doubles the health. And I think that if you then get lucky on your death card, if you fail on that run, that character will then have a large attack power and health power or something. So, for example, and you can name each of your death characters when they die, which is fun. So you get this new card that will randomly appear in your new deck, because you get like a fresh deck every single run. But then cards, there are cards that will keep reappearing, and you can lean more into like certain almost species of animals. So you got like the wolves and the dogs, where you got like the powerful bear, the wolf, I think
you have the flying ones as well.
The flying bugs, and it's really good. And like, I was like naming all my characters just after like 3-letter male names, like Dan and John and Ben. And then one time I just got the most powerful character, and then I just called him Orc. I was just like, this is just my Orc that's just gonna battle through through the way. And then by the time you like do some successful runs and progress things, like it's just a very satisfying game. And I knew that there was stuff beyond this that was interesting, but even if this game was just this, I think it's a very strong game. And they did release a version of the game that is just this, which is called Casey's Mod, which I believe is I'm not sure if it's an actual mod or if they officially released it as like a patch for the game. I was able to access that once I beat the game. I could go back and play. Oh, sweet. Casey's Mod, yeah, even on the PlayStation 5 version. So it is just part of like the main menu of the game. Yeah, it just becomes part of the main menu. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, so basically that means that if you loved that just card game, you can just endlessly play that as an actual roguelike if you want to. Yeah, exactly. And like it's just the vibes are so strong. I think like just seeing your wooden character going through this board, it's kind of a little D&D-esque, where this mysterious dungeon master, you can only see their eyes, and they're switching these masks, and you're moving the wooden character through like the woods, and then the marshlands, and then the snowy tundra. It's like, it's just the atmosphere and the vibes are so great. And it's just like, I want to play more card games that have this elaborate presentation, that are just like, we're going to put you in the shoes of this, and then you're going to do this. And like, it adds a level of, the way that the vibes and the mechanics and everything come together, even in that first area, is so satisfying. And now I really want to talk about stuff beyond this first area. So yeah, why don't we? There's a lot more to Inscryption. Why don't we put in the timestamp now, and we're going to talk spoilers. Yeah, before we do, you mentioned the escape room kind of element of it and having to look up like maybe a couple of things. But yeah, how did you find that as like a thing to figure out and like do between your runs as well? Because you realize that you can step away from the table. I think that's a cool moment when you're able to realize you can do that, and it works in this almost like first person dungeon crawler way, where you have to like rotate and then move forward by one step each time. What did you feel about that segment of the kind of progression? It's cool because you can actually walk around mid run. You don't even have to go between runs. You can walk around mid. Yeah, you're right, actually. Yes, you can do it in the middle of a run, can't you? Yeah. It's cool. I like I said, I like the way it was slowly revealed. I didn't feel like I had to wait too long before I worked out how to release certain secrets within that walkabout area. Basically, I felt like it didn't feel like I have to play this for 15 hours before I even get to the first thing. It felt like every run or every 2 runs, maybe, I was like finding something new to unlock and progress things, which was very satisfying. And then, there was just some like really weird stuff. And then there's like, whoa, that is creepy and weird and gruesome. And there's some great stuff in there. I think it reinforces the vibes so nicely, all that kind of fiddly stuff at the sides to kind of play around with. I think it's very good. It's very good. For sure. Very good. Right. Okay. Spoilers. Well, if you have not played Inscryption, I'll give you a little buffer here. You're in the car. You maybe, oh no, I need to struggle to find the pause button. Let's get into when you finish this roguelike section, when you have your mega card that somehow gets you through and destroys your adversary, Leshy in this case, something happens, Bally. What happens? What goes on with this video game? So like the whole game shuts down, and then it's like, well, you get like, you realize that you're kind of fourth wall breaking, you are playing as this guy, Luke Carter. And he is he's basically like a card enthusiast YouTuber kind of person. And then it reveals...
Pretty much, yeah.
It reveals that like you have discovered the floppy disk game physical copy of Inscryption, and you found it through opening decks, and then it led you to a spot. You dug a hole, and then you found the disc, you put it in, and then you played the game where it boots up. And then it booting up is basically you as the player when you first booted up the game, and that's you playing against Leshy, which is that first area.
Yes, and I should say, like, this is FMV video is how you're finding this out. This is a real person, and it's video footage of this person doing this stuff.
It's very good acting. I think it's all done really well, and like the audio quality is so awful. It's just it looks incredibly authentic, and I think that's really important to it. And you get a few of these throughout the game, and it builds up. But when you go into like the second phase and you boot up the game, now you can say new game. You don't say continue, you say new game, because now you have the ability to go to the new game now that Leshy has been sort of defeated or whatever. Well, he's been turned into a card.
Right, because you can't press new game when you first boot up the game, right?
You press continue.
Yeah.
Then you realize Leshy is one of 4 card scribes in this virtual world, and he is the master of beasts, and there's a master of the robots, there's a master of magic, and there's a master of the dead. And it's like, what?
The fact that there's like 3 other card games essentially in this game is so insane.
The way they lay out the second area, so the second area, you then have to defeat the 4 card scribes, and you can pick an initial deck. Do you remember what deck you picked, MBZ?
Oh, I can't. I feel like I just went with Leshy's because I was familiar with it, I want to say.
I went with Magic. And what I think is so unbelievably cool about this second segment, which is obviously basing itself on like the Pokemon trading card game. The 2 key things that are very Pokemon trading card game about it are the aesthetic, for one. Like it is like a top-down 16-bit RPG.
Yeah, you go from this like 3D like very specific aesthetic of Inscryption to a pixel art Game Boy game, essentially.
Which in and of itself is awesome, because you have to go and face Leshy again, and where is he? He's in this cabin that you've just been in, but now it's in 16-bit, which just looks amazing.
Right, so you get to see like the 2D version of it's like a demake of the game within the game itself, which is amazing. So cool.
But picking the Magic deck, you get Magic cards, and now you're learning a new way of playing, that you are actually playing the same game from the first segment, but the cards are so different and operate in such a different way that it predominantly feels like a different game. So I picked the Magic deck, and I went and fought the Magic. No, I didn't fight the Magic person. I fought the Master of the Dead person first. Sorry, I'm going to compare it to Pokemon. The other thing that's compared to Pokemon trading card game is 1, the aesthetic, but 2, deck building. Yes, there's deck building in the first part, but it's very much you're only building your deck for that given run, and it's very minor levels of deck building. You can burn a card here, you can sacrifice a card there, you can merge 2 cards here, you can pick a card, you can deny a card. It's very minor levels of deck building. The second phase of this game, every time you defeat someone or every like secret area, you're gaining packs upon packs of cards that you're opening, and there's like 5 cards per pack, and you are quickly building up this incredible menu of cards across the 4 game types. And what's so mad about the 4 game types is that they all meld together. So you can mix and match stuff from different decks, basically. I started with a pure Magic deck, and then I gradually mixed in some Re-Dead deck because I faced her first, and then I went to Magic, and I already had Magic, and then I think I faced Leshy. I didn't actually even bother putting any Beast cards in, because all of a sudden Beast cards rely on sacrifice, and sacrifice relies on squirrels, and the squirrel mechanic in the Pokemon trading card game works slightly differently, because you've got like a squirrel roll, and it rolls squirrels out across the board, and then you sacrifice. It's very like there's just so many layers. And then the robot cards operate through your power meter, and all of a sudden each turn on turn you are building up a power meter. So I thought, if I'm building up a power meter anyway, I need to include some robot cards. So I made sure I included those, and going to each boss and like defeating them and building your deck. And I was looking up some stuff online just to work out I was doing it in the right order or whatever, and people were saying like how for many people this was the hardest part of the game because it involved the most understanding of the cards and deck building. Like a lot of the other parts
It's the most
of the game,
nerdy part
it's
of the
the
game.
most nerdy part of the game, and it's my favorite part of the game. And obviously it's mainly because it's based on Pokemon, but I really, really enjoy deck building as like an art, as it were. Like I really enjoy physical card game deck builders like Dominion, where you have to really think about how decks are constructed, making lean decks to think about how do you access the cards you want to access. Like famously, me and my friends at uni would be like, we were learning to play Dominion, and there's a card called a Chapel, and a Chapel trashes 4 cards from your deck. And when we first saw that card, we thought, that's like the worst card in the game. Why on earth would you want to trash 4 cards from your deck? And then the second you read more about deck building, the ability to trash cards at will is like incredibly powerful because it gives you access to the cards that you want. So anyway, I love theorizing with all these things and building decks, and I just absolutely love this middle area where you are defeating the 4 card scribes, and it's so good. It's a good level of challenge. I don't think it's too crazy, and it's just nice having the different...
it's definitely doable.
Yeah, it's nice having the different thematic things. Like the robot's all about like circuitry and power meter.
It's cool with the intro as well. Like I feel like
there's lore.
There's like an intro where they bring lore into it, and they're like across the world, these people and all this sort of stuff.
Because the Leshy is in control at the start of the game, and the other 3 scribes have been turned. Because Leshy's got a camera that turns living things into cards. So the other 3 scribes are actually animals in your card deck they're the ones talking to you.
They were the ones who were talking to you the whole time, which is such a cool thing.
And then by the end of the second segment, it's the robot who takes control, and the other 3 scribes end up going into his game. So you then...
Yeah, how surprised were you that there was a third layer to this video game, which is now you play the escape room, but you're in the robot world instead of Leshy's world?
I think what is so shocking about the robot world is it's like just as in depth as the Leshy world. It's the same game, just with some different mechanics. Now you've got 5 lanes. Now you've got your power meters. Your deck is mainly all based on the power meter, of course, now that you're in this world.
It's basically the robot deck stuff.
It's the robot deck stuff. It's a lot less circuit based until you get to a certain part of the robot deck. And even in the robot area, there is a more Leshy themed area. There's a Redead area. There's a robot area, and there's a magic area. They still have those thematic 4 points in the robot world, which is wild. I think that what was so shocking is when I saw that robot area, I thought, this guy Daniel Mullins, he wanted to do all 4 card masters. Like he wanted this game in 4 parts, and I know that it's in 3 parts, and that's fine. But I guess I'm never going to see like the Redead lady area, and I'm never going to see the magic.
Well, the thing that really shocked me is like right at the very end of the game where things are breaking down.
That's what I'm getting to. Yeah, exactly. So you get to the end of the game. I can talk about the robot stuff in a bit, but like you get to the end of the game and you play a little bit of a game with the. It just feels like Daniel Mullins showing off. Like you know I wanted to make 4 games and I've given you like 2.5. But
and he like made all the assets for for literally 3 seconds of like each of these areas.
Yes,
it's fucking crazy.
You play a very small amount of each of the areas in the final end of the third act, and I think that like seeing, I think her name's Gamora with like all the Redead stuff, and you're going straight back into like the bone mechanics of you're generating bones that's your currency to put down cards. It's like, God, we are, because you're doing that with Leshy right at the start, and then once you defeat her, you then play as Leshy again, and it's just like this really nice kind of victory lap thing where you're like, yeah, we know Leshy, that's how we play cards, and I guess we're gonna get the magic guy next. Sure enough, you get the magic guy, and then if you didn't think a nod to Pokemon was strong enough in the second area, do you know what the nod is in this area, MBZ?
It's fucking Yu-Gi-Oh, baby.
It's Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh, he straps the friggin' card thing to his arm, and you're playing cards off your arm. I'm just like, this. I mean, I really enjoyed the Yu-Gi-Oh anime growing up. I think it was really, arguably
we both
better
watched
than
it
Pokemon.
quite a lot.
Yeah, it was so good. And I mean, part of me is like, God, I wish he made a longer 4-part game, but I mean, that would have been like a 40-50 hour game, who knows. But I just think this game is so wild because if you love card games, and this game is really teaching me that I think I love card games. I think I'm not sure if you don't love card games, this game is for you, because it really forces you to not only learn the game but relearn the same game about 3-4 times. I think it is phenomenal for that reason. And it was like, it was the intrigue of like Luke Carter, and then eventually he, like, I won't spoil the very, very ending because that's not fair, but like, is the build up of like the plot of what are these cards about and what's it hiding and this kind of thing. I would argue it doesn't really build to a ton, and there is more beyond this.
No.
That like this, you can go like, it goes down like the same kind of what's the thingamy animal? It's like the animal well hole. Like this game links to a ton of, and
sure.
supposedly Daniel Mullins games all take place in the same universe and this kind of thing, and they all link together in some way. But I've not looked into a ton of that stuff. But it's just crazy. What I'm so obsessed with is just the strength of this card game and the way it is played and revealed across 3 different like aesthetics, and then you reveal like the 4th and 5th aesthetic at the end. The story, it is nice that there is this story, and it is creepy, like the way that it's revealed. Like Luke Carter is just kind of like trying to find out, how does this game, and the woman comes to his door, and like there's all these questioning, like it is, and there's a company behind it. It's like, oh, it's all about the evil corporation in the end.
Yeah, it goes down a real conspiracy rabbit hole, basically.
And I think all that stuff's fantastic, but I think what I love the most about this game is the deck building, the card building, that second area. But I love the aesthetic change between Leshy and the robot, and then to go with the Redead person. Oh god!
For me, it's just the surprise of it all. You know, it's like it's the idea of like, oh, okay, this is a cool card game, and like the fact that there's like multiple layers beyond that is that's the thing that is really just like shocking and like crazy about it. You're like, how did you make this game? Like, it's kind of insane.
It's really insane, and I think it's so perfectly balanced. Yes, I think there were some really tough bits of the robot area where you basically have to defeat multiple people to get to a checkpoint to then get on, and there were some parts I was just like, I got completely thumped at points, and a lot of that was to do with luck of the draw kind of thing at points. But I think it's a very well balanced game. I think it's a very good difficulty. I don't think I'm amazing at card games, but I found this game very challenging in points, but then just so innovative in others. And I've not even mentioned like the bosses in each area. So yeah, I guess there's bosses in the Leshy area, there's bosses in the middle area, and there's bosses in the robot area at the end. Like, all of them play with the existing mechanics like another layer on top of that. Like, there's a boss in the robot area where you are writing the rules. Like, there are rules that you can input into the game, and then it does it 3 times. Like, there's 3 rules that you are manually putting into the game. And then there's this amazing part against one of the other bosses where it's like, right, now I want you to create a card. It's like, you're going to now create a card for me. And then you're like, right, well, I'm going to do a really shit card because then it's going to fight me, and I don't want him having a good card to fight me. And then he goes, haha, actually, it's not the card for me. We're going to send it to my friend. And then they try and send it to the friend, and then the internet like doesn't connect or something. It's like, oh, well, the internet's not connected. I guess you can have the card. And then it's like, you thought you were going to trick me. It's just there's so much fourth wall breaking and just back and forth. And the way this game plays with mechanics of that one card game is unbelievable. Like, I think I was looking at, so I just did my GPay list, and I was looking at 2021. My 2021 game of the year is It Takes Two, followed by Eastward and Metroid Dread. Inscryption is easily in and amongst those 3 games. Like, for me, it's really up there for me. And I know I've just beaten it, and I'm coming off a high, but I've never seen anything like this game. I really want to see more games like this, and I need to play some more card games, because I just think that what you can do in video games with card games, I think this game really proves why video game versions of card games are so powerful, is that you can do amazing things. Like, you can mix up the mechanics, you can have all these bosses with different vibes, you can play on worlds and play on the worlds you're playing that card game within. Like, it's just so clever. I can't believe how good this game is. I'm really surprised I waited this long. It's really special.
Yeah, I've been waiting for so long for you to play this because I was just like, I knew specifically the Pokemon trading card bit of it was like the thing
Yeah.
that I wanted you to get to because I'm like, Bally will love this. But then I know you like card games as well. I think it's just like it's a game that is so, like I said, surprising, and I think it's something that is going to stick with you just because of the ride it takes you on.
Yeah.
Basically, I actually really enjoyed watching other people play this game. Back in the day before Waypoint closed down, Rob, Zachney, and Natalie Watson played it together, and I went and watched, after I had finished it, I watched them play through that final section, and it's just very, very fun just watching other people go through like the ride, basically. It's a good game to watch people play, I think, as well.
Because when you said, oh, there's something in this game that Bally's going to love, I was like, they've got like a wave race section, or there's like like an advance wars section. I was like, I don't know. I just wasn't predicting Pokemon trading card game, but it obviously makes so much sense now. Yeah.
It's such an interesting pull for him to take, but yeah, it works so perfectly. So the thing that I was wondering about on the console version is, in that third section, there is a part in which the game says, we're going to take something on your desktop hostage, and it brings up your file browser on your desktop, and it says, choose a file. If you fuck up, we're going to delete this file. If this card, basically you make a card from that file, and if that card dies, we'll delete this file from your desktop, basically. And I don't know if what they do, if that was what you're describing previously, with like creating a card, basically.
That was slightly different. So I think they create fictional files for that version.
I see, okay.
But there are...
Yeah. I think that's a shame about some of these games, that like they work so much better on PC.
Let me finish, because there's something unique that it
right.
does. Now maybe it does with Steam Friends, I don't know, but it drags in friends from your PlayStation. Like I was fighting someone with an Astrobot head. I was fighting you with your dude from I've forgotten the name. Infamous. And there was like Caroline's profile just appeared with like the little bird that she's got on hers, and I was like, all of a sudden,
oh my God,
these people were turned into cards, and like I was fighting them and with their names and things. So it was like, oh geez. So like it's I think that might have happened on PC as well, but I'm not 100% certain. It just does a lot of that shit, basically fourth wall breaking meta narrative shit right at the end, which I think is very cool. And there's like hidden stuff in the options menus and stuff on certain puzzles and things. Like there were some puzzles I was like, what? Like that is just bizarre. It's a trippy game, but at its core, it's just an incredibly strong card game that you play in a variety of ways, and that speaks to how strong the card game is that he just mixes up the formula and the ways of there are so many cards in this game I barely saw or played with that you could, especially in that middle section, the number of the sheer variety of cards and the amount of balancing that shit takes is scary. Like I think it's an incredibly well balanced game that you can have that variety of cards and it all works, and that it's just like this 2-hour segment, 3-hour segment in the middle of your game. It's just wild. Yeah. Oh, leaves you wanting more.
And we're going to get some more from Daniel Mullins. I think, Bally, something that we should do after this is we should watch together the Pony Island 2 trailer, which was at the Game Awards 2 years ago. Oh, I think back then you probably didn't have much context for Daniel Mullins and Inscryption.
Supposedly this game is linked to Pony Island. Like there are links, but yeah.
Yes. I played Pony Island, I think maybe last year or maybe a couple of years ago. Very cool. I don't think quite as good as Inscryption because it was very early on in kind of the indie games area, but very subversive, doing similar things to Inscryption. We should watch the Pony Island 2 trailer because I think it's going to have more relation to Inscryption and like those types of mechanics and things, like not mechanics necessarily, but like I don't know, more surprising gameplay stuff than maybe the original Pony Island had.
Is he ever gonna go back to card games? That's what I need to know.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But definitely an interesting guy to follow. I've not met Daniel Mullins, but he did stand in line in front of me at GDC to get his ticket for the IGF Awards back in 2023, because I was there for the Golden Idol nomination, and the guy at the desk was like, "You're Daniel Mullins," and I was like, "Oh shit, Daniel Mullins is standing in front of me there." So that was cool. So it's my only interaction with him, but I'm sure he's very nice.
Who are his games published by?
So Inscryption was published by Devolver.
Oh well, yeah, it was Devolver, of course. Yeah.
Yes, and Pony Island 2, I'm not sure if it has a publisher. I think he might be doing self-publish because he made so much fucking money through Inscryption that I don't think he needs one anymore. Yeah, so yeah, he's all good. But very, very cool game. I'm glad that you finally played it.
Very cool. I'm impressed.
Cool. That is going to wrap us up for this part of the show. Don't go anywhere because we'll be back after the break with our predictions for 2026. See you in a bit. All right, everybody, welcome back to the second half of today's show. It is time for that time of year. It's the start of the year. It's the first episode of the year, as we said. Definitely no other episodes that came out this year. And on the first episode of the year, we have a tradition, which is to predict the year ahead, to put on our hats and say, we know what's going to happen. We're smart. We follow video games and Nintendo. We can read them like a book, and you don't even need to live this year. You just listen to us tell you what's going to happen, and then you just watch it happen and unfold, as we all know. So Bally, we are going to do a few things here. The first one is to revisit our predictions from 2025, which, as usual, I have not looked at and don't remember. So I will enjoy as you tell me what I said back in 2025 at the very beginning.
Shall we do your predictions first then?
Yeah, sure, let's go for it.
Okay, so your first prediction is a smorgasbord of games that will release for Switch 2 in 2025. They are.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember how many you needed to get the point, but we can discuss that anyway.
I don't remember, but we can decide. We can decide on,
Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Tick. Fire Emblem 4 Remake. No. Splatoon 4. No. New 3D Mario. Open Mario 4. I think is what you've called it. No.
Right, yes, yeah.
Final Fantasy 7 Remake. It's not out. Is it out?
I don't think it's released yet on Switch 2. Maybe it has. I don't actually know, to be honest with you.
I have a feeling it's not. Cyberpunk 2077 hasn't it?
Okay, yes, because that was a launch title, yeah.
Elden Ring hasn't.
But is announced for it.
Isn't that? Well, you didn't say announced. You said will release.
Oh,
and
okay.
Baldur's Gate 3. So
which is never going to happen, unfortunately, because Wizards of the Coast are assholes. So.
Oh right.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a shame.
So that's 6 to come out, not come out. So I'm going to say no point.
Yeah, I don't think I get it.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
The mouse controls will allow new freedoms on Switch 2. A new eShop will let developers more easily submit their games, providing a more Steam-like approach. And as a result, early access games will be allowed on Switch 2. Not
God,
yet.
This couldn't be further from the fucking truth. Can you the amount that Nintendo has gate kept the Switch 2 is frankly fucking insane. It is they went in the opposite. They heard my prediction and were like, let's run the other direction, basically is what they said. Jesus Christ. This is so wrong, it's not even funny. I should lose points for this prediction. That's how wrong it is. Christ.
The first game officially announced for the NX before we knew what the Switch was called was Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive Age S Definitive Edition. As such, Square Enix, knowing the pure dominance of Switch in Japan, will be once again making a bet on Nintendo and will make Switch 2 the lead platform for the next in the series, Dragon Quest XII: The Flames of Fate. We will see gameplay and be given a 2026 release date. It will launch on both Switch and Switch 2. The game will be darker and will have 2 combat modes, traditional and modern. Modern will be a full-on action RPG, while traditional will be turn-based. I like that idea. Dragon Quest fans will be slightly mad. One of the characters will look strangely like Ichiban Kasuga from Like a Dragon completing the full circle.
It's a great prediction from me, I have to say.
I think they're going big on the 7 remake, aren't they? So that's their thing for
Square
next
Enix
year or this year.
into that.
Yeah.
So 2026 is interesting. Well, it'll be part of my predictions this year, but there's a lot of anniversaries in 2026, like big anniversaries for big franchises. And one of them is Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 40th anniversary is this year.
Yeah.
So I do think that makes sense. Maybe take my prediction and reapply it to this year, and we'll see if that happens.
Right.
Yeah. Didn't happen last year.
Nintendo are once again reviving an old IP, but this time it is to use a gimmick. We will see the return of Takumaru's Ninja Castle as a full 3D ninja game, but there's a twist. It will be a Punch-Out style game mixed with a rhythm game where you use twin katanas to slice and dice enemies as you storm a castle. You can choose from 4 different control schemes, twin Joy-Cons with motion, twin mouse control, or twin analog stick or touchscreen. Yeah,
this is great. Another great idea from me.
It's a good idea.
But, they don't want to do that yet.
The second USB-C at the top is more than just another way to charge. Not only will you be able to use a wire to HDMI to the TV, we will see the return of weird plug-in peripherals like the N64 and Wii. These could include a front and forward-facing camera attachment, an open-to-the-air microphone like We Speak, or even an attachable second screen for DS functionality. Well, it wasn't N64 or Wii they wanted to link up. It was Virtual Boy that they wanted to link up.
Well, no, here's the thing, Bally. There is a fucking camera attachment to the Switch 2 that you can attach to that thing via USB. I'm just going to say it. That is true.
This is worth a point because you are claiming that it is more than just a way to charge. Could be one of many things, including a camera. So I think you can have a point.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Right.
Is that it? Is that my predictions?
I think those. If I missed one,
I think that's 5, isn't it?
That was 5. Yeah.
Okay. I can't believe that my one that was supposed to be stupid, ridiculous, is the one I got the point for. So, yeah, there you go. That's what happens.
Let's have a look. Yeah, no, exactly. That was the silly one made a point. Right. Okay. Tom Holland is revealed as Link in the Zelda movie. Idris Elba is Ganondorf. Jennifer Lawrence is Zelda. Chris Pratt will also be in the movie and will be Azora. Is my prediction. Do we know Ganondorf yet? I don't think we do.
We don't know. We only know Link and Zelda, and they're both unknowns,
they're
right?
Both unknowns,
that's the main stuff.
Yeah.
There was a photo taken on set that someone identified the Sheik, whoever was playing Sheik, basically, and it was a known actor, and I can't remember who she is, but yeah, she was in some other stuff, basically.
That's interesting. Shouldn't Sheik and Zelda be the same actor?
No, I think sorry, not Sheik, Impa.
Okay,
I misspoke.
So I was like, okay,
yes.
right.
No. Yes, Impa is being played by another actor. Yeah.
My second prediction was C on the Switch controller stands for community. Think Street Pass crossed with Miiverse. Can talk about games on boards, but also play mini games together to collect puzzle pieces or some other Nintendo collectible like Badge Arcade. While there won't be strict functionality like Street Pass, there will still be stuff you can only uniquely do in person with other Switch 2 owners, just like Pokemon Mystery Gift. It's PlayStation Home, but with an injection of Nintendo energy. Launches day 1 of Switch 2, and you must have Nintendo Online base to use. Yeah, the C button was quite a way off that prediction. It was just kind of like, I don't know, it's just very base level online multiplayer with a camera, basically. It was not much more.
Yeah, but it does track what you say and put it in a handy dialogue box on the side.
Have they still got that going?
It's
They've
good
not
fun.
patched it out yet.
Yeah. No, that's that. Yeah, that's great.
It is so funny how they've left swear words in that. But anyway, yeah.
I petition Bally, anytime we ever play online, we have to keep that on. That's the rule of us playing online. So,
Next prediction, Nintendo will nail the crossover from Nintendo Switch 1 to Switch 2. All digital games are tied to your account and will seamlessly be able to be downloaded onto the Switch 2's 500GB hard drive. The eShop will have clear delineation between Switch 1 and Switch 2 games and be incredibly easy to use. The new eShop will even have a banging tune and have far more functionality due to the power of the Switch 2. However, there is a catch. You must be subscribed to Nintendo Online in order to link your consoles and enjoy your digital library from Switch 1. It will only be free and seamless for physical games. Well,
Yeah.
They got around the physical game thing where they basically turned digital games
they use the
into
virtual
physical
game cards,
virtual
didn't
game
they?
cards, which is clever. The new shop does delineate between 1 and 2. Could it be clearer?
Kind of.
Maybe.
I mean, it's the same eShop, but you have tabs for different stuff instead. So
there's still
it
no
is
music.
smoother and faster. No music.
No music.
But it was a very seamless transition.
And the Switch 2 is not 500GB hard drive, is it? It's much less.
I think it might be 500.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to check and see. I have my Switch 2 in front of me, Bally, so I can do a bit of a
Let's do
recce. But I think there's I don't know. I think maybe a half point here.
I'm thinking the half point. Yeah.
I think a half point. If I look at my managed software, it says I have 9.4 gigs available, but thanks Nintendo, there's no way for me to see the actual total memory possible on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
I think it might be 256.
Okay.
Looking at the games I have here, I think it might be 250, but could be wrong on that. All I know is that I need more fucking space, and I need micro SD express cards to actually, be affordable as opposed to absurdly expensive as they are currently.
Good thing they went for that whole express type thing anyway.
Great. Thanks, Nintendo. Really helping us out.
Next prediction, new Mario game in April shows off mouse functionality. People are far too conservative with their mouse predictions. Boss fights where you are threading Mario around a bullet hell phase using the mouse functionality was my prediction. You pick up and drag him drag him around. Areas where you're using both Joy-Con simultaneously to catapult Mario across the stage. Here's the thing, it will be saved for very small sections of the game, including boss fights, to keep it quirky and fresh. 3D Mario will take home the goatee crown for 2025 and mark 2 successive years where 3D platformers have won. Yeah, I mean, obviously DK came, there was no Mario. I think it is shocking to me the lack of mouse functionality in Nintendo first party, because it is literally just Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour and Drag and Drive. There was there's none in Mario Kart, there's none in Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm a little surprised they didn't include any in Donkey Kong Bonanza, and as a result, I think it will die a swift death.
Yeah, I think there will be moments and places where they choose to use it just because they'll have a fun idea and they'll be like, this is great, but it doesn't seem like it's going to smoothly transition with a lot of these games, just because the problem with Switch is it's so flexible in the ways you can play it and the control inputs you can have, that forcing someone to use mouse is not great, right?
Yeah.
And don't ideally want to do that.
I think Welcome Tour proves how frustrating it can be when a game forces you into a control method for certain sections of a game. It's quite frustrating when you're like in a living room setup and you're switching and going back and forth. But yeah, anyway. Right, final prediction. Oh, that's 0 points, by the way. Final prediction. Mini Shoot Adventures will come to Switch 2 and will feature in multiple GOTY discussions of podcasts we listen to, and will have Hollow Knight 2017 energy, as of course Hollow Knight actually first released in 2016. It will even get at least one nomination in a TGA category in the year 2025. And then I said, also repeat this prediction, but for 9 souls. Yeah, this is incredibly tragic that the lack of waves both Mini Shoot and 9 souls have made in the year 2025. I think that it's just a tragedy. I think Nintendo are partly to blame. I think the fact that Mini Shoot Adventure is 9 souls on Switch, I imagine it is.
It is, yeah. 9 souls is already on there. Yeah.
Obviously Mini Shoot hasn't left PC, which I think is very sad. I kind of think Mini Shoot would have had a chance if it had come to console. Not maybe to go quite to the highs of this prediction, but I think it would have made more waves than it has.
I just don't think that's the way things work anymore, if I'm going to be honest about it. Like, the Hollow Knight 2017 stuff with Switch, it just is a different world than we live in today in terms of people's accessibility for PC games and stuff that comes out on that platform. Like, I don't think we'll ever be in another situation like Hollow Knight on Switch again, where a game comes out on PC and then comes to console and makes more waves. I think the industry is far more switched into the PC ecosystem now.
Because of Steam Deck and stuff like that.
Because of Steam Deck, and now it's going to be for Steam Machine as well. And like, everyone just is a bit more plugged in to hits on PC and what's doing well on there, to the point where a game will only get its limelight in the year it comes out, I think. I think we're just past that point where that's going to happen, unfortunately. So it's a shame, but that's how it is.
No, I think I agree. I think I got half a point, and I think you got 1 point.
I think so.
A victory to MBZ.
Thank you, everyone, for my grand victory here. It's been, hard fought, hard won, but we take it, and that's great. But now, Bally, is for the more important stuff, which, of course, is predicting this year in Nintendo 2026, in fact. And we each have 5 predictions, one silly one, like we like to say. Sometimes the silly one is the one that gets us points.
The silly one gets you a full point.
Yeah, there you go. So that's how it works. And I think we'll just go back and forth with our predictions, and
let's do it.
And then we'll get to the end. So, Bally, do you want to go first with your first prediction for 2026?
Ocarina of Time remake. It will get the Metroid Prime remastered treatment and nothing more. It will look like a 4K-ified version of the 3DS remake, and no other Zelda news this year, because we're too close to both Tears of the Kingdom and Echoes of Wisdom. If this doesn't happen to Ocarina, it's going to happen to Link Between Worlds this year.
Wow. Yeah, this is soberingly true.
Announced and comes out this year. Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I think, you have to have a Zelda thing every year. Like, I think maybe there was 1 year in the last 15 years where they haven't had a Zelda game or project of some kind. It's pretty important to Nintendo, I think, whether it is a spin-off like Hyrule Warriors last year, or if it's a remake like Link's Awakening. Like, I think they are always going to want to have a Zelda-related thing. And I also believe that it's the 40th anniversary of Zelda this year. Same with Dragon Quest, same with a bunch, right? So it would make sense for them to have something, like a little bit of a warm-up for the film. And I think the Ocarina remake probably does make the most sense, because you imagine that the film will draw on some of Ocarina for what it does in terms of narrative.
That
makes sense. It's the most iconic from a narrative perspective. I could see this happening, and I think you are smart, Bally. You've followed Nintendo a long time and understand. Unlike most of the internet, who are like, it's going to be like Final Fantasy VII remake,
a ground up remake. Here we go. Yeah.
Anyone saying that, I'm sorry, doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Nintendo will never do that. I'm sorry to disappoint you all. It's never going to happen. So this is definitely much more realistic. I can see them doing this, like making it look much nicer, but like bringing in all the quality of life elements that they already added to the 3DS version, and just blowing it up and making it just like a bigger deal.
But the thing is, the wild thing about Nintendo is, if they do my prediction, internally, they think that is a ground up remake. That is their definition of remake. The biggest quote unquote remakes they've ever done, I would argue, are Wind Waker HD, and probably like 3DS remake onto the 3DS for Ocarina of Time, but also for like Majora's Mask, where they slightly edited like some of the functionality of the time system in that game. But then you can throw in like Mario 64 DS. Like, that's their definition of like a true ground up remake.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if Nintendo have ever done like a full reimagining of a game, like completely changed it, like put it out.
Zero Mission.
That's a great shout. That's a really good one, actually. I think Zero Mission is it might be like the biggest significant. Metroid 2 as well.
And Metroid 2. I don't even think they see those as remakes. I guess they are reimaginings anyway. So
Yeah, they are more reimaginings, really.
Yeah, I agree with you that I just don't think they have that attitude to like 3D games and Zelda and but we'll see. If they do anything more than what I've just explained, I think that would be the biggest news of the year, like in the whole industry.
It'd be pretty surprising.
That would be like
Yeah.
Earthquake shattering news. But
yeah, pretty shocking stuff. Yeah, I can see it happening. I can see we'll get some Zelda thing this year, and we're on remake cadence, I think, based on Echoes of Wisdom the year before, spin-off with Hyrule Warriors. It feels like we're in remake territory now for whatever comes out. And it could be as boring as Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, of which they would only do one, I imagine, probably just Twilight Princess, because
for $60, exactly.
Yeah, because they've already put Wind Waker on the Switch Online service, so I would imagine they would do Twilight Princess as the.
Bally Jr. has asked me a lot about. So we've just recently put up the Wind Waker poster that I have from the GameCube, and it's a framed poster on our wall in our hall. And it's just outside Bally Jr.'s bedroom, and he's like, Daddy, tell me who the baddies are. I'm like, right, he's the bird up here, that's a boss, and like these little mini birds, they're bad. Like, so I'm like, he's into the Zelda lore. So if Wind Waker HD could make it out, I think we might have to give it a go.
That sounds great. Yeah. Hopefully it's not too scary. There's the skeletons in there, redeads and everything.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
We'll get there. I'm sure I think Wind Waker is just a really perfect introduction to Zelda for a younger kid. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a good one to go in there with. But yeah, well, I'm excited to see what Zelda stuff we get this year, because we'll definitely get something. They will definitely, unlike Metroid, they will celebrate the 40th anniversary of Zelda as opposed to the 40th anniversary of Metroid, which also happens this year. I believe, so.
Yeah. Do you have any Zelda predictions?
I do not have any Zelda predictions. No, I abstained from Zelda. But one of my predictions has relevance to Zelda to some degree, so we can get to it. Okay. My prediction segment is sponsored by a prediction, because it's a sixth prediction that is just an eternal prediction. Because once again, Bally, we are sponsored by a new 2D Metroid will be announced. NBZ's prediction brought to you by a new 2D Metroid will be announced. And I have said it's a flip of a coin between Metroid 6 or a Super Metroid remake, which I think either of those could get out this year. But yeah, that's not a real prediction. That's
not
just
a real
like
one.
That's just like an ethos. That's how I live my life. So that's just.
I want Super Metroid remake with the Link's Awakening remake art style. That's what I want. Yeah,
that would be great. Yeah. So yeah, this segment is sponsored by a new 2D Metro will be announced. Okay, so my first prediction, Ace Attorney 7 will happen. If not, I will explode. And that's the prediction. That's it, basically. Yeah, I don't have too much more to say about this. I'm going to say that it fully reboots the franchise to just welcome new people in, which is ironic because Capcom have been re-releasing every other game in an attempt, I think, to maybe get people into the series. But I think that they will still want to go a bit more Blue Ocean with it. Now that they have announced Mega Man, like, Ace Attorney is literally the only Capcom franchise that is in a dormant state now, and they have to do something with it. They have to do something.
We've even got Okami coming, and they've just done everything. Resident
even
Evil.
Fucking Okami is back from the dead. That's crazy. Please give us Ace Attorney. Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think the Mega Man thing disappointed me in the way of they're just doing another 2D Mega Man, and the thing is with Ace Attorney is I don't think you can do a AAA Ace Attorney. I just don't think it works from that standpoint. But I do think you can, if you build it for current platforms, all other Ace Attorney games have been for handhelds, and so if you use Switch as the lead, or Switch 2 as the lead platform, you can make a really nice looking game. The 3DS Ace Attorney games are really good looking. They're really pretty games, and they translate that kind of original pixel style very well in terms of character, facial expressions and reactions and everything. So I think you can make something that looks very appealing to people, and I don't know, maybe voice acting, maybe that's the thing that they do, because Ace Attorney obviously has a huge amount of text, which is hard to voice act all of it, but if they're going to reboot it, bring it to a new audience, make it a bit more accessible, then maybe voice acting is the way to go. That'd be cool. Yeah. So
in maybe a Danganronpa style where a lot of it is voice acted but not all of it.
Yes, right. I think that's probably the best compromise is have key moments and have like important things voice acted. There are cutscenes in the 3DS games which do have voice acting in them, so there is little bits of voice acting in the Ace Attorney games, so it's very, very sparse because those cutscenes happen like once every 6 hours and they're only like 30 seconds long. So not significant, I would say, in the grand scheme. But I don't think we'll have Phoenix Wright. I think it'll be a new character, like reboot it completely and just like welcome new people in and be like, hey, if you want to start with Ace Attorney, this is where you start. And I think that would be a good thing for Capcom to like bring it back for some people. So
cool.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens.
Yeah. Well, we know we're getting Layton, so like that could be nice.
Yeah, we have to have Ace Attorney and Layton.
Does Layton make it out this year? Does it make it?
I think it does. Yeah. Well, I don't know about fucking Layton anymore because Hino from Level 5 has been like, yeah, all our games are made with AI now. 70 to 80% of it's AI, and I'm like, fuck off. Like, I'm just
I missed
God.
that.
If Layton comes out and he's like, oh, we made it with AI, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I don't want to play this video game. So yeah I'm a little apprehensive given Level 5's recent comments. It sucks. It fucking sucks.
Okay, well, I'm going to take a prediction from last time. I'm going to edit it and push it right back out. And that prediction is in line with the network test thing that Nintendo ran in 2024.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think they ran it later this or earlier, end of last year, again with people. Yeah.
There we go. They will launch Nintendo Plaza. Think Street Pass crossed with Miiverse. Where have you heard that before? Okay. They'll even link it to the Nintendo Today app. So you can talk about, you can, like I said in the previous prediction, you can talk about games on boards. You can also play mini games together, collect puzzle pieces. It's a little bit like Nintendo PlayStation Home, but for Nintendo, and it's all linked through the app. And then they will repurpose the use of the C button and incorporate all that functionality through Nintendo Plaza. Because this service that I'm talking about was not ready for Nintendo Switch 2 launch.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know much about that online test.
Yeah,
I know people are talking about like building things and like getting resource. Like it sounded kind of Minecraft adjacent to some degree.
Is it just Miyamoto on another one of his kicks? You know, like it's just like,
I guess
I came up with this prototype that I'm going to shoehorn into.
I don't know. I don't think Miyamoto is involved.
Yeah, he's not doing much to do with games.
He's just on films these days, I think. So. Yeah,
This is more a wish that I just want Nintendo Switch 2 to have something that is just got a bit more personality, can link their existing systems with their apps, and also like link us to other players in a more meaningful mini game related way. You know, like I just crave for that like character and doing that daily busy work that you do. Like you log in, you check news. Like we hear that Nintendo have the app of Nintendo Today because they want you to stop using other apps and go through their own services. So why not have an existing service on the Nintendo Switch 2 that would like keep you anyway? It just feels weird that they don't pursue that more.
It does. I hope that weird thing comes out this year or gets more announced or something, because I'm really fascinated by it. Like, it's just such an odd thing for Nintendo to run, like, secret playtests and no one's allowed to talk about it. Yeah. And somehow, like, not much has leaked about it, despite it being, like, a public thing. It's really, really strange. So, yeah, fascinated by it, and I think if they tie it into some kind of social stuff, I think that would be great. And, you know, I think both of us yearn for the days of the 3DS and Wii U where they were invested a lot more heavily in customization of your platform, but also like the weird Miiverse stuff and social features. And I don't know, it felt like more quirky.
Something like Badge Arcade was so perfect because it merged the two. It was a daily fun activity minigame related thing that directly linked to like the colors and badges on your Nintendo 3DS OS. Like it's just like a perfect way of blending the two. Very frustrating.
It's also a way for Nintendo to get more money from their
make
fans.
Money.
Who will give them money for themes and for badges and for stupid customization shit, because we're all idiots, of course.
Exactly.
So anyway, one day it'll happen. Bally 2026, Nintendo are struggling on Switch 2. They need a banger. They need big bangers, okay? And a lot of their bangers come from games that already exist out there on Nintendo Switch, and they're doing upgrades to them. And there's one that is conspicuously absent, but it can't be anymore because Masahiro Sakurai is done with Kirby Air Riders. It's a feature, like he said, no DLC. It's a full video game, feature complete. You will never need anything more in Kirby Air Riders. So this man has one fucking job now, okay? And it is to work on the next Smash Brothers. However, that will take him 7 years to do. So until that time comes, we need Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Deluxe for Nintendo Switch 2. Ultimate Deluxe will be announced. It will add 10 more characters to the base roster of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Because if you can't do anything else, just add more fucking characters to the video game. They will reveal 3 of these characters at the beginning of the campaign for marketing Smash Ultimate Deluxe. And they will all be first-party Nintendo characters because we need to bring it back to reality a little bit. We need to like ground things, and we can't go crazy. We
don't have any more money for contracts, all right?
yeah. It's just too expensive to license fucking Mega Man and all these people.
We can't afford Mickey Mouse.
The characters, we can't do it. The characters will be as follows: Octoling to act as a mirror
palette
character.
Swap.
What do they call
mirror.
them?
Yeah, they've
not a palette. No, it's like Lucina and Marth.
Yeah, something.
It's
like
not a
that.
mirror character. There's a name that Sakurai has for it, but it's like basically whatever that is, Marth and Lucina. We get Octoling for the Inkling, basically. So that's a nice easy one for them. You know, it's like here's a new character, but is it really that new? Kind of not. So I think Octoling will be a good one to add. The second character, because Nintendo are so hell-bent on making Donkey Kong a thing at the moment, we are going to be adding Cranky Kong as a character to Smash Brothers.
Oh, God, okay.
And of course he will have the Pogo. The Pogo will be his big move that everyone knows and everyone will use, and it will be very, very good. And Cranky Kong will have a fun, he'll pull out Rambi, will have Bonanza references, because obviously Cranky is with Rambi all the time, and you find him and you find Rambi. So Cranky will ride on Rambi as part of his moveset. There's lots of fun things you can do with Cranky. I think he'll be a good addition. And then finally, because you have to appease the anime nerds, Noah and Mio from Xenoblade 3 will be a combo character similar to Pyra and Mithra, where you can swap between them. And it's important that they're together because their ultimate move, their fucking final smash, is in Xenoblade 3, the two characters combine together and become like a giant mech together. So in order to do that, to have the final smash be that, you have to have the two characters together. So we have Noah and Mio as the Xenoblade 3 representatives, and then you have representative from all 3 Xenoblade games. We don't think about X. That did come out, but no one knows any characters from that. That's not going to happen. We're not going to get Elma. Everyone shut up about it. So yeah.
So you think that Smash Brothers Ultimate Deluxe comes out and then they do a new Smash Brothers later in the Switch 2 life cycle?
I think so. I think what has to happen here is that we have to give people a Smash Brothers experience, right? Because you can't have a platform that doesn't have one. It's very important. So I think we do that. And then what I think this does is it allows Smash Brothers 6. Is this going to be Smash 6? I think so.
Yeah.
It allows Smash 6 to be a different approach. And it feels like it would then make them distinct entities. And like Nintendo kind of tried this with Mario Kart, where like Mario Kart World is supposed to be different with open world and different stuff. It just didn't work out. But I think like it means that they could reinvent what Smash Brothers is from the ground up, and not have an absurdly inflated roster, and just change the approach to what they want to do with it, while still having the traditional core Smash Brothers that everybody likes at the same time. Bit of a bold move. I don't know if they will do it, but I just feel like we've got to have some kind of Smash stuff announced at some point soon.
They are in a tricky position with that because, you can't go from Smash Ultimate to, we're just going to start again.
To just reduce.
I mean, you can,
exactly.
But it's a weird.
So that's why I'm thinking like they kind of
twist.
want to provide both, right? It's like here's Ultimate with everything, and then here's a reboot that kind of like is a different thing that can also stand on its own. So we'll see.
And is it announced and comes out in 2026?
No, definitely doesn't come out in 26. I think probably announced like later in the year. Like I would say either the summer or the like September direct for this. So it'd be a later in the year announcement. So yeah. Okay, Bally, what's your next prediction?
I've got a couple of negative ones. Here's the first negative
Okay.
one. For unspeakable reasons, dev kits for the Switch 2 will continue to be absurdly slow. The 3 biggest indie hits of 2026 will not be on Switch 2 by the end of 2026.
Ooh. Yeah.
I think I'm not sure about this one in the sense of like, what were the big indie hits that missed last year? I guess it was Expedition 33 and Blueprints.
Yeah.
And
Dispatch as well.
And Dispatch, yeah.
Baby Steps wasn't on Switch either. There's
Baby
quite
Steps, a few. Yeah. Was stuff like Consume Me on Switch too? Or did it just come to Switch?
No, I think that was only PC though. So there are some of those that are
only
just PC.
Okay,
still.
fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's likely, unfortunately. I do think that it's likely that Nintendo continues to be very stingy with their dev kits for some silly reason. I think that maybe by the middle to back half of this year, it will start opening the floodgates a little bit more. But I think we will be in a place where it's still going to be very tricky in order to do a lot of this stuff.
Do you think like Expedition 33 will make it out this year on Switch 2?
Yeah, I think probably later in like August, September, I think.
Okay.
Like, because they still have to spend a lot of time putting that together and making it happen. But I do think we will have a Nintendo Direct where they announce Expedition 33 is coming. Probably in summer, I think, most likely. But yeah, I think a lot of last year's games, like we have said before, like Blueprints and Expedition, I think they will come to Switch 2 this year. Only makes sense for them to do so. So yeah.
Okay.
Great. My third prediction is the first one that involves an anniversary. So it is Pokemon's 30th anniversary. Obviously, I think a lot of people expect we're going to get Generation 10 of the video games this year. And there's one thing that people have been asking for, Bally, for a long time. And it is, hey, could you put Pokemon Red and Blue on Nintendo Switch Online? Could you do that for us so we could play those video games, you know? It'd be really nice if we could play those video games. Nintendo, in their infinite wisdom, will not do this. Instead, they will revive the idea of the mini console, which they have not done since the Super Nintendo Mini. And despite not having done one for a while, they will release the Game Boy Classic. And most crucially of all, in the most Nintendo decision possible, this will be the only way to play Pokemon Red and Blue is by buying the Game Boy Classic and not by playing it on Switch Online. I fear, Bally, this is my most realistic prediction.
I thought you were going to go one step further, and it's called like the Pokemon Game Boy Classic or something. Like you can only play it's only got Pokemon on it.
Yeah, right. It's an exclusive Pokemon one for the anniversary. No, I think they'll do
because all the other Game Boy games they can do through the online service. But
yeah, they'll put Link's Awakening on it. They'll put that other handful of like big Game Boy games on it, and I think crucially as well in terms of trading, it will have Bluetooth and stuff on it, so you'll replicate the experience of being a kid and trading with your friends on Red and Blue, but you use it wirelessly instead of having a cable to do it with the Game Boy Classic, because we still have that ability. So
it's got that, and they'll have like a backlight and stuff, right? Like that.
Yeah, sure, totally. Why not? Yeah, let's get sell worm lights for certain. So, and the Game Boy Classic will be a chunky old Game Boy. It won't be like color or light or anything. It will be Game Boy Classic. We're talking about classic here, so. I like
it. I think it's very unlikely, but I like it. I think they've very much moved on from that whole idea. But you really don't think Red and Blue are ever coming to Switch Online?
Nintendo have this weird fucking thing about Red and Blue. I don't know what it is. And I think it's more they have this weird fucking thing about mainline Pokemon, where they still to this day are like, well, we can't let people cheat. We can't let people duplicate Pokemon, all this sort of stuff. And like,
I mean, they did release Red and Blue on 3DS at the same time as they were releasing games like X and Y, Sun and Moon. So like, there was a time when they thought Pokemon fans would bite both cherries, you know. But
yeah.
Did Gold and Silver come to 3DS? Like the
That's
game,
a great question.
As in like Game Boy? I don't think they did.
Don't think so. I don't think they did. Yeah. Otherwise, I think people would have been talking about that
we
a
would
lot more.
we would eat that up in a heartbeat if they did a bit of gold and silver.
Oh,
And probably
so
not
quickly,
by
so
Gen
quickly.
10 as a result. So I see their point. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, were we going to buy Gen 10 anyway? You know, the way Pokemon's going. We'll
If
see.
they get good reviews, I'm interested. I just need to see some stronger reviews. But yeah.
Well, you know, it's the 30th anniversary and it's the 10th generation. Those are two big milestones. So I think they do have to put a lot into this game. So we'll find out.
Maybe for the 30th anniversary game, they could celebrate by investing more than $30 million into their game.
You mean more than $13 million?
Well, that's my joke, because they invest more than 30 million, but yeah, because it's the 30th.
Yeah.
Yes, more than 13, which is the horrendously low budget of the previous.
I think that was Sword and Shield or something
Sword and Shield,
that came out in that leak. Yeah.
Wild.
Yikes. Yeah, wild stuff. So I don't know. Look, we'll find out stuff very soon because Pokemon usually does their Pokemon Day in February, I think it is. So we'll know a lot more then, and we'll find out. But yeah, it's my third prediction. Bally, what is your fourth prediction?
Here's my other slightly negative prediction, but just being a realist, right? 2026 will be a fairly light year for Nintendo in terms of big releases. There will be Pokemon and Fire Emblem and Yoshi, and as predicted, the Ocarina of Time remake. But there won't be any other big first-party games, and it will see the Switch 2 sales be slower and undersell Switch 1 considerably for its second year. And this follows the theme of people just not spending as much money on video games as they were a few years ago. And this will be in stark contrast to, for example, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, which will surprisingly have a big bump because obviously the release of GTA 6 will happen come November.
Yes.
And those consoles will see sales boosts, while Nintendo Switch 2 will not necessarily flatline, but it will be lower than expected and much lower than Switch 1 for a second year.
Well, you're banking on GTA 6 actually coming out this year, which who knows?
I mean, regardless of whether GTA 6 comes out or not, I think it won't impact the sales of Switch 2. It'll just be different in comparison to PlayStation and Xbox. But.
Yeah, for sure. I can see this happening. I think, given that they've announced a decent number of games already for this year, and like none of them feel like the ones that are going to really bring a huge audience in. Like they've burned their Mario Kart card already.
Yes.
I think the other ones that bring people in are mainline Mario game, Animal Crossing, to some extent Splatoon for Japan.
They're doing the January update for Animal Crossing, so that means Animal Crossing is probably quite far away.
I think so. And obviously like a big boy Zelda, 3D Zelda is a while away as well. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a weird sale, which is why, I think Smash is a thing that could really be compelling if they add new. I think the thing is with Smash, new characters is like the biggest hype train possible for Nintendo in terms of attention and like fun and like speculation. So like just bringing that back, just being like, hey, by the way, guys, 10 more characters, like that, it's just fun. I think it's a thing that will get people engaged.
That's hype.
Yeah, great. All right, my fourth prediction: Monolith Soft's new game will be announced. It will not be a Xeno game. It will be an open-world action RPG, taking some of their experience on Zelda. It will blend elements of that style of exploration with a deep action combat system. In fact, they will try to channel From Software, essentially making their own take on Elden Ring. It will be a hardcore action open world game.
So is it like traditional fantasy Elden Ring thematically, or is it more?
I think like there's some evidence. There's a lot of artwork from back in the day that I think at this point probably doesn't factor into anything because that was like an older project, it seemed like, but it was like a medieval fantasy setting that seemed very cool and different. And I don't know, it feels like Monolith have been so involved with so many core Nintendo titles that they could flex their muscle a little bit and take on something new, something different. And I think I don't know to what degree they're involved with the combat of Zelda, maybe more the world and the systems and stuff like that, but I think there's a way in which they could make something that is more more RPG than Zelda, but less RPG than Xenoblade, if you know what I mean. So that's why I've kind of fallen in the middle of like take a bit more of an action game and give it a bit of a. That's why From Software kind of comes to mind, because they kind of live in that space.
Bit like Horizon Forbidden West level of numbers.
I think a bit more than that, like a little bit more than that, but less than Zelda. So, or it's not less than Zelda, a lot more than Zelda, I would say.
Less than Xenoblade,
So,
cool.
Yeah, less than Zelda.
I think there's a decent chance that their game does get shown off this year and might even come out this year.
Yeah, I think so.
They are due. They're one of the few.
They are due, and they are generally a pretty quick team in terms of turnaround. Like Xenoblade 3 came out in 2022, then they had the DLC in 2023. Usually about 5 years between projects, so if they announced it this year and it came out in 27, that would make some sense.
They did have the remaster last year of X.
That's true, they did have the remaster of X, yeah. So, yeah, I think the main team, the Takahashi team, has been working on something, and we'll show it off. So I'm excited to see what that is.
Right.
All right.
My final prediction. The Zelda film is coming next year. Sadly, it won't have Tom Holland and Jennifer Lawrence in it, but we will get a trailer this year. We know that the film is being shot in New Zealand currently. They're based in Wellington. There will be a subtle Lord of the Rings reference in that trailer.
It's like Twilight Princess. You know, we're going back to it.
Yes.
What is the subtle Lord of the Rings reference? Do you have a specific one?
I'm not saying what it is. I'm just saying there will be a subtle Lord of the Rings reference trailer. It might be to do with the formation of horses, maybe looking like the Riders of Rohan. It might be a certain peak in a shot from Lord of the Rings that they want to replicate for this trailer. It might be a certain way that something is shot or something appears that might look like a little Hobbit home or something, you know, like there might be just
maybe someone kicks a helmet and breaks their toe, you know.
Yes, there will be a Lord of the Rings reference. It might be subtle, it might be overt, but there will be one in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel like that original Twilight Princess trailer has like such heavy Lord of the Rings vibes, but doesn't necessarily have specific references, if you know what I mean. Like it's so clearly taking from that energy, but is not like being specific about it. So I guess like if we have something that like feels like the vibe,
would that count is what you're asking?
Yeah, like would the vibe count versus a specific?
If the vibe is literally Lord of the Rings, I want to maybe claim this, but we'll see.
All right,
because I don't it's if they're harkening off Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time, I don't think those games necessarily have a distinct Lord of the Rings feel. So if they choose to go in the Lord of the Rings direction and make it a bit more like as you say, that Twilight Princess trailer, then I think that might count for a point. We'll see.
Yeah. Does Miyamoto show up in the September Direct and say, hello, let me tell you the cast for the Zelda movie? Is that going to happen?
100%. Yeah. Maybe it's surprising they didn't do that for Link and Zelda, but I don't know.
I don't think it is surprising because they're unknowns, right?
Because
like I think the idea of a cast announcement usually is because you have famous people who you want to attach to it. And so I think outside of the core two, I think like Ganondorf will be a famous person.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's cool. Yeah, Idris Elba has a chance, is what you're saying.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I do think that like some of these like outside of the core group characters will be stunt cast just to get a bit of star power in there. I think that probably makes some sense. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'll tell you who likes to be in everything and could also be a Ganondorf is someone like a Jason Momoa. Like he's just like in everything right now.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he's got the build for it. He's
got
definitely got a Ganondorf
build.
Yeah. Okay, time for my stupid one. Like I said, 2026 is a big year for gaming anniversaries. It is, in fact, the 40th anniversary of both Castlevania and Metroid in 2026. So, of course, Konami and Nintendo, having seen this, they are prepared to celebrate in a big way. They will announce the most groundbreaking collaboration title of all time, Metroidvania, which will be
so
a Metroidvania where you play as Alucard and Samus with like a light world, dark world mechanic, but it's like the past and the future. You explore the same map, but like you explore it in like the past with Alucard, and then you explore like the ruins in like a sci-fi future with Samus, and you swap between them, and the narrative has like stuff going between them basically. So
nice.
Yeah, it's the big stupid one that will definitely not happen in any way.
Yeah.
So.
I want to know what Nintendo even think of the phrase Metroidvania. Like I want to know like what's
yeah
I don't know.
Yeah, them just using that phrase would be very funny to me.
Yeah. What's a few podcasts I listen to have tried using a different term for Metroidvania. I've forgotten what they.
There's a lot out there.
Search action.
Search action is what Gersman uses.
Yeah.
Into the Aether coined a term called gate punk, which is quite funny. Which is like, it's like, you're opening gates basically. So gate punk is good. There's a few.
Search action. My mouth struggles to say very easily. It's a search.
Yeah, it's not smooth. It's not smooth. I think there's a book called Search Action that someone wrote. I know that Jeremy Parish, who is the person who the word Metroidvania gets associated to always, which is not actually the case. There's a really good video on YouTube. I can't remember who made it, but someone linked it recently of the origin of the word Metroidvania, and someone went and did like the research of like the first forum post that used the word Metroidvania and like the first time it was used in a magazine and things like that. So it does go a little bit further back than Parish using it, but I believe Jeremy Parish used search action for like one of his YouTube series at some point in time. So yeah, I think there's certain people in the industry who don't like the word Metroidvania. I'm not one of them. I'm not precious about it at all. I think it's very helpful, and you know exactly what it means. So I think it's totally fine as a word. Anyway, that's going to do us. Those are our predictions for 2026. So lock them in, Bally. Lock them into the vault for next year when you can come back on the show and tell me, because I will have forgotten them all once again, and we'll see who was right and who was wrong. It's going to be an interesting year. I definitely get the vibe that you're kind of getting across of like, don't know that Nintendo's going to have a massive 2026. Like it feels like 2018 was the second year of Switch 1 and it was a little bit of a down year, and it feels like even the first year was a little bit of a down year for Switch 2. So, but the thing to remember is that Switch 2 came out halfway through last year, so we won't have done a full year of Switch 2 until June, basically. May, right? I think it's May. And once we get, actually, no, it was June, wasn't it? It was the start of June. But once we get to that point in time, then I think we can properly assess the first actual year of Switch 2. Maybe do like we can do a review of it and see how we feel. But it's a little bit different from that perspective. We have to wait.
If you said like, will Switch 2 have a new Mario, Zelda, or Metroid first, you wouldn't have guessed Metroid, but even that's a Switch 1 game. I guess. So like it's weird. Yeah. It's weird for them to not, or obviously Animal Crossing. I guess Mario Kart was quite predictable, and then DK was the big twist with that going away from Mario. So it's just a very strange first year so far. Yeah, absolutely. But we look forward to covering it. We will be doing so throughout 2026. So keep your ears peeled. And we'll be continuing to podcast. That's going to close out the predictions segment. We have a couple of pieces of business, Bally, to get to before we close out the show. So, shall we start with a game trade? Game trade 2026. Like we said, game trade is the thing we do where we give each other a video game that we have to play, and there is no choice in the matter. You must give it a good fair shot, and then report back at some point in the year. Usually, like I do, it's right at the end. But we're going to try not to do that this year. We'll try and be better about it, okay? Bal, you might have to be better about it anyway, because the game I'm giving you is a little bit longer. Not super long, but... Okay. It is longer. It's longer. We're not going to the Persona length of hell of 100 hours yet, but we're warming you up there a little bit. Are we thinking 20 hours, 30 hours?
This is the problem with Bally time. Is like I can't accurately use how long to beat. So
I think I have a feeling what this game might be, but I'll tell you once you tell me. It was that one. Are you going to go first?
I can go first. Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. So Bally, the game that you are going to have to play for 2026 is actually a game I've not played, which is very funny. What? But it's the game that but it is the game that it'll make sense.
Oh, I know it's exactly what this is.
It's the game that you have to play, I think, in order to get into the franchise.
Yeah.
And I also will play this alongside you this year because I recently bought it in a Steam sale.
Isn't it coming to Switch 2? It's already out on Switch 2.
Well, that's the reason that I can now do it, Bally. That's the exact reason why this is the time to do it. Bally, it's time to indoctrinate you into Yakuza. Yakuza 0 is the game.
Yakuza 0. I knew it was coming. Yeah. I just felt it in my bones.
It was inevitable.
I feel like Yakuza's in there with, Layton, Danganronpa, Ace Attorney. It was like It's the MBZ series that I've just not tried, and yes,
Exactly. It has.
I look forward to trying it. I'm scared of getting into it because I have zero ability to like catch up or get hugely invested in multiple games in that series, but I'll try.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think you can play it as a standalone, even if you really enjoy it. You don't have to be committed to like playing everything, basically, you know.
Right.
So I think it's a good entry point, and at that point in time, you can then pick and choose where you want to go with the series. Because if I'm really honest, like, yeah, you can follow the story all the way throughout, but each game does kind of stand on its own, and you can kind of like jump in and out where you kind of prefer. So I wouldn't say you're like pot committed to it. Couple of options for you, because so this is the frustrating thing. I did want to message you over Christmas and be like, hey, by the way, they're going to delist the old version of Yakuza 0 because they're doing this new director's cut and they're taking the old one off of storefronts, which is why I bought the cheaper original on Steam, basically, because they were putting the new version out.
Right.
And the new version is the one that's on Switch, but it's also really expensive because it's a brand new version. I will say for this, like, go online and find a PS4 copy and just play that, because I think that will be a lot cheaper, and it will, it still runs at like 60 FPS even though it's a PS4 game.
Really?
It's a very good, yeah, it's a really, really good version, basically. So I would say, obviously the reason we can do this now is because it's on Switch, but I don't think you have to play it on Switch 2 just because it's going to be super expensive as a new thing that has just come out. So you're probably better off going and finding that version.
And it came out in like 2018 or so? 16?
2017. It's the year of death, 2017, the year when every good video game came out. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I, of course, only watched Giant Bomb play it, and I've played every other game in the series except for this one somehow. So, whenever Bally starts it, I'll start it as well, and I'll relive it and play through, which will be fun going back and forth on it. So it'll be good. So there we go, Yakuza 0. Bally, what do you got for me?
Right, my pick is, and it's very lopsided this in some ways because there's just so few games I've played that you've not played, and I think it's. Ideally, I want to have played it, even though, of course, you've not played Yakuza 0. But anyway, the game I'm picking was my number 2 Go TT Dakota game for 2025. It's from 2024. It's from 2023. That game is Dredge. Seeing as you enjoyed the last Loopy Boy game that I gave you so much, I thought, MBZ just needs more looping games. Interested what you think about this game. I think it's got a really nice melding of systems, which I think is exactly what I said about Cult of the Lamb.
Yes. Yeah. This does have fishing though, which I do like fishing. So, a bit more of a fan of that generally.
It does have fishing. I think the fishing loop is very strong. It's the best fishing game I've played. Not that I've played a ton.
Look, as long as I can catch fish and sell fish, I think I'll be okay.
It's all about, and then you can kind of investigate and go after as much of the creepy weird stuff as you want with this game, and there's still an overarching story that I think is very good. Like, I think that there's characters in this game and stuff happens, and I think it's a really unique game.
Yeah, I do already own this through an Epic free thing that happened last year, I think, and I was like, I should play that, and then I was thinking, I was like, Bally doesn't really have many games to give me. I think he's going to give me this one, so I'll just wait until he gives it to me. So I did deliberately hold off on playing Dredge because I thought this was kind of inevitable.
I'd argue it's like one of the most critically acclaimed indies of the last 5 years that you've not played. Honestly, to be honest, like I think it's
for sure,
it's up there.
Yeah, definitely. I like fishing. We just signed a game about fishing, which is very fishing focused, and that's very cool. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how this lands with me, and I will definitely play it before the end of the year. I'll play it sooner than that, just so I don't have the rush
that is
of being sick and
you're not fishing on a time deadline. You're going like, this game's soon.
No,
this game's rubbish. I can't beat it in 3 hours. Like, what? Why am I even here?
No, certainly not. Great. Okay, well, that is all sorted and squared away. I think, by the way, Yakuza 0 is about 40 hours on how long to beat, so Just FYI on that one. So
will-
might take a little bit of time. It's definitely longer than like. So I was thinking of like giving you Kiwami or Zero, and like Kiwami's a lot shorter. It's 20 hours long, but I do think Zero is really the best starting point for the series. So yeah, just made a bit more sense to do that.
It's nice they made a game with a starting point. Like, that's the whole point of Zero.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Great. Well, there's one more piece of business, Bally, that we have to get to, which is the return of a feature we've not done in a long time, mainly because you had children and were very busy. We are bringing back Backlog Club, which is, if you've only started listening in the last couple of years, this is a thing that we used to do, which was we chose a game, community helped choose these from time to time, and then we would play through it together and get comments from everybody and kind of like do a mini kind of like retrospective almost on the game, discuss it and go deep on everything.
I think Mario, the Paper Mario and this game tied, and then we said, right, we'll have to get back to this game, was the thing.
Correct, yes. So there was a poll voting for Backlog Club, and we had 3 Mario RPGs. We had Mario and Luigi, we had Paper Mario, and we had the original Super Mario RPG. And yeah, there was a tie in the poll between Paper Mario and Mario RPG. And at the time, we did the Paper Mario Backlog Club, and we said, and we'll get around to that Mario RPG one. Fast forward 5 years, and here we are, finally doing it.
It's more than 5 years, because you know what our last Backlog Club was?
I thought our last Backlog Club was like a weird one on the Genesis we did right before.
It was Rise Star, and you know when we did our Backlog Club for Rise Star?
Don't tell me that it was more than 5 years ago.
It was episode 209 on the 22nd of November 2021 was when we played Rise Star together.
Wow. So that's less than 5 years, but
yes,
just
still less than 5 years, but it's been a long time since we did Backlog Club, and yeah.
And if you line up the age of Bally's eldest son with that probably works out. Yeah. So yes, we've obviously been waiting to do this for a long time, and what we've decided is to kind of not change the format necessarily, but make it a little more digestible, and make it a little bit more approachable for us from a production standpoint and playing games and all that sort of stuff. So the idea is going to be, we're kind of taking inspiration from MinMax with the Deepest Dive and what they do over there, where they kind of break the game into chunks. What we're going to do is we're going to do 2 episodes where we talk about Mario RPG. The first one, we're going to do the first half of the game, and then we're going to do the second half of the game, and so we'll talk about it in 2 distinct segments, and that will basically replace the what we've been playing part for that show, essentially. So next week is when we're gonna, not next week, in 2 weeks time, so you have preparation time now to start playing Super Mario RPG. We are going to play up until you have gotten the 4th star piece in Super Mario RPG, which seemed like from our research about halfway through the game. So yeah, go through, get to the 4th star piece, and once you have that, stop, and then we will return and finish the final 3-star pieces on the subsequent episode. It might not be this episode right after. We might take a break in between and then come back with another episode. Just depends on how we feel about it and what makes sense. But yeah, the idea would be do that and then do listener mail on those episodes, basically.
And one aspect you might have missed also is that because we waited so long to do this, they have obviously remade Mario RPG, and we are playing the Mario RPG remake on the Switch.
That is correct. Yes, we should make that clear. You can play the original if you want to, and you can have comments about the original. We won't have experience with the original, but it'd be very cool if anyone has played both and wants to talk about some of the differences and things like that. That would be very, very cool. But
I've heard people say this remake is pretty... talking about Nintendo doing remakes, I guess this is a bit of a remake.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a lot. People have said a lot of it is quite just a reskinning of the game. Honestly, like it does stay true to its roots.
Yeah, it feels quite faithful from what people have
faithful,
said. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But finally, Bally will understand the people who are lunatics about Geno. For once, We'll see what a great character Geno is.
Is Geno going to be one of the 10 characters in Smash Brothers Ultimate Deluxe in your prediction?
Oh, he could be. Could very well be. Finally, Sakurai listens to everybody. I don't know. I was always more a fan of Mallow than Geno, but anyway, we'll meet both of them. We'll see what they're like and what they do. Yeah, Mario RPG is a game that I watched Nintendo Capri Sun play, because of course I did, because that's how I know about every Nintendo game, is that Nintendo Capri Sun played it as a Let's Play, and then I watched it. But it's been a very long time. It's probably 15 years ago that I watched that Let's Play, so I don't really remember too much about it. But I think the most interesting thing about Mario RPG is that it was made by Square Enix. So it's not a first-party Nintendo game. It's a JRPG made by a JRPG developer. And
I wonder if they credit Square Enix in the remake credits. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, Nintendo are bad about crediting. I feel like they'll say original game by Square Enix or something and not list any of the people who are actually involved. But yeah, there are some references to like Final Fantasy and stuff in here. I know there's a particular like final endgame super boss that is essentially a Final Fantasy enemy, which is very cool. But yeah, there's it's a really interesting game, obviously, and many people hold it in very high regard. And I really enjoy playing Paper Mario, the original. So, you know, seeing the origin point of that series here with Mario RPG is going to be quite cool. So I look forward to it. And yeah, look forward to discussing it. And like we said, you can send your comments in, and you can do that on Discord in the Backlog Club channel, which we can reboot finally. You can also email us at our email address, Bally, which you can tell the fine folks right now.
Please email ThisNintendoLife at gmail.com. That is ThisNintendoLife at gmail.com.
Fantastic. So yeah, please, even if you're not playing it along with us, if you have played the game before, it'd be great to get some of your thoughts on it, and we'll bring those into the discussion as we chat through.
I think
Mario RPG.
How Long to Beat has it at like 15, 16 hours, so it should be about 7-8 hours each.
Yeah, it's not a crazy long game
for each chunk that we cover. So yeah, 2 weeks to play, 7-8 hours, I think is doable.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, get stuck in, and yeah, we'll be talking about it next time, which is great. Looking forward to that. Great. I think that should do us for announcements and things. So let's get on out of here, Bally. Let us tell everybody where they can find us on the internet. They can, of course, support this show and get bonus episodes by going to patreon.com/ThisNintendoLife. And Bally would like to thank some of our supporters.
Thank you to our $10 tier plus patrons. They are Sullivan C, Zach S, Thomas, Matthew, Albert, Wicked Gamer UK, Alan, Orange Thunder, Nintendo Man, Turtle, and Ali T. Thank you all for your $10 tier plus support. But thank you also to all of our other patrons for all the support that you give the show. It's really, really, really appreciated. We're going to do our next episode of This Nintendo Life for patrons for a single $1, and we're going to cover predictions for 2026 from a non-Tender perspective. So we'll cover our non-Tender predictions from 2025, see how we did, and look forward to 2026.
Yeah, we're gonna have to we need to have a pizza bet for GTA 6. Is it coming out or not this year? So yeah, we'll see what happens there. It's gonna be quite interesting. You can obviously follow us on the internet on Blue Sky. You can find me at NBZ. Where can I find you, Bally?
I'm at Ballyman91. That's BALLYMAN91.
Excellent. You can also follow the podcast on there at TNL Podcast, which will give you all the updates about things and stuff and reminders to write in about Mario RPG and things like that. So keep an eye on there, and please, write your things in to us. Obviously, you can find us in various places on the internet, or on Spotify, or on Stitcher. You can download us through any podcasting app that you so desire, and we'll be in your feed every couple of weeks, which is very nice and convenient. And then you can put it on and listen to it on a train or something, you know. It's great. It's good stuff. I think that is going to do us. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And yeah, looking forward to, again, back to the Backlog Club and diving into this Mario RPG. So yeah, we'll get onto that next episode. But
I've now got 2 RPGs to play.
You do? Well, I don't know if I call Yakuza 0 an RPG, but...
if you do call it an RPG, the other 2 RPGs I was planning on playing this year were finishing off Witcher 3, and then there was this little game called Octopath Traveler 0 that came out at the end of last year. And now,
you know,
I've got to beat 4 RPGs in 1 year. That's what 2026 is all about.
Look, Yakuza 0 is an action video game. It's an action game. You beat people up in the face, okay? It's very, very different. So, yeah. Anyway, that'll do us. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time with some more podcasting and some more video games and some more Nintendo. Until then, bye-bye.